either in public comment or on a specific agenda item. If you're an applicant, you do not have to fill one out. Okay. All right, it's 8:30. I call this Sawyer County Zoning Committee meeting to order. Roll call, Kathy, when you get time. Okay.
I got Ron Buckholz,
Here.
Tweed Schuman,
Here.
Kay Wilson,
Here.
Dale Magnuson,
Here.
Steve Kariainen,
Here.
and Marshall Savitsky acting as alternate until Mr. Schuman is departing early.
Here. Okay, pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Statement of committee hearing procedure and statement of hearing notice. The full statement of the committee on hearing procedure documents, including directions for individuals wishing to speak at the public hearing to be conducted at this zoning committee meeting, are available in the back of this room next to the agenda for today's meeting. The statement of committee hearing and documents is hereby incorporated into the record for this committee meeting. Any public hearing conducted today's committee meeting has been published as a Class 2 notice in accordance with Chapter 985 of the Wisconsin statutes, and then the Sawyer County Record and the Sawyer County Gazette as posted. All right, number D, I need a motion to approve the February 21, 2025 meeting minutes. Don't be afraid, people.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Kariainen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mr. Magnuson to approve the February 21, 2025 meeting minutes. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. A public comment is noted for comments at this time is intended for the general public. If you wish to speak on a specific agenda item, we encourage you to hold your comments at that time. Each agenda item requiring a public hearing will have at the public hearing conducted just prior to the application being considered. And we would recommend that you hold your comment to 3 minutes or less. So do we have? Linda, you want to talk in the public comment, please?
I would like to address your new business items at that time, if you allow that. And can we have the screen turned on in the back, please?
You want to do that, Jim?
Yeah. Oh, here's Mike.
Anyone else online wishing to make public comment? Seeing none or hearing none, I guess we'll go into our rezone applications. This is a public hearing in the town of Media, rezone number 25-004. Owner Matthew Corman and Stephen Ann Corman, southwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter and the southeast one quarter and of the southwest one quarter, all of section 4, township 37 north, range 8 west. Its tax IDs 39968 and 39967. They are 38.13 acres and 38.14 acres for a total of 76.29 acres, all zoned Forestry 1. Purpose of the request is to rezone both Forestry 1 parcels to Agricultural 1 to have additional pasture land. This would be as a permitted use per the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances. As part of my Staff report, again, rezone request is to rezone approximately 76.291 acres of forestry 1 to agricultural 1. The subject rezone property is located immediately north of an existing agricultural property, which is actively engaged in an agricultural use by the same landowner. This would be viewed as a continuation of the existing pasture land use. The existing surrounding land use is residential, light residential, forestry, and agricultural. Town of Meteor, as part of their comprehensive plan, shows this area as future land use for residential and forestry, with agricultural intermittently adjacent. The town's recommendation of the proposed rezone should be highly considered for the approval or denial consideration. Action by the town board. Motion was approved. Dale Olson, chairman. Zachary White, supervisor. Elman Welling, Eline Welling. All in favor? No additional comments. Signed, Clarence Frey, town clerk. There were 11 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 0 comments were returned. Okay. That was all.
All right, thank you, Jay. I need a motion to go into public hearing on rezone number 25-004, please.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a
Go into
motion by
public
Mr.
hearing.
Schuman. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mr. Karianen to go into public hearing on rezone number 25-004. We are now in public hearing. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Is applicants here? Would you like to speak to the committee? State your name and your address, please.
I'm Matthew Corman. I'm the owner of this property. My address is 1950 North, County Road C, Exton, Wisconsin. I bought this land a year ago and it was logged when I bought it, and I want to use it to pasture my beef cattle. So I would like to get it rezoned to agriculture.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for him?
You said it was already logged?
Yes.
Like I said, yeah, Matthew, you got a fence built around this already then on the property line?
I do. Yep.
Okay. All right, does anyone out there want to speak in favor of this rezone?
DJ Aderman, Futurewood Corp., 9676 N Kruger Road. We would speak in favor of this rezone.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, does anyone want to speak in opposition of this rezone? If none at this time, I need a motion to come out of public hearing on rezone number 25-004, please.
Motion, Chairman, to come out of public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Schuman. Do I have a second? And a second by Mr. Karianen to come out of public hearing on rezone number 25-004. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing on rezone number 25-004.
This is the discussion action for the town of Meteor, rezone number 25-004. Owner Matthew Corman and Stephen Ann Corman. Legal description is previously read into record. This request again is to rezone approximately 76.291 total acres of forestry 1 to agricultural 1 to have additional pasture land for beef cattle.
Okay, committee, she's in your hands.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve rezone number 25-004 with findings of facts 1 through 3. I don't think 4 pertains to this. And all the 1 through 14 without 4 or 14, Kathy. Okay, I don't think they pertain to this pasture land.
You
Okay,
got it,
that's
Kathy?
my motion, Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Schuman
I'll second that.
and a second by Mr. Karianen to approve the rezone number 25-004. Any more discussion? I'll do a roll call. Kathy, please.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
yes,
Tweed Schuman.
Yes.
Steve Karianen.
Yes.
All in favor. Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on to conditional use permits, and before I guess we move on to conditional use permits, I do want to mention to the committee for, and maybe this is a better time in new business, but it is something to keep in mind, I guess, moving forward. For our May zoning committee, the publication will need to go out before we have our April zoning committee. So if there's something that you want on the agenda and you tell me, hey, at our April zoning committee, we'd like this placed on the next agenda item for discussion action, I can't do it because publication will have already gone out. You could still have discussion on a specific item, but I guess keep that in mind for even today's meeting, because if you want to, table something or have a discussion action item on something, again, if you tell me at the April meeting, I can't put it on May's. So just keep that in mind. This is a public hearing in the town of Draper, conditional use permit number 25-004. This was previously tabled from last month's meeting. Owner Eugene Burt. This is part of the northeast one quarter, the northwest one quarter, section 11, township 39 north, range 4 west. Tax ID 6634. It is 39 total acres zoned agricultural 2. Permit is desired for the perpetual family burial plot as per the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D, Section 17.5, Parent B, Parent 21, as a like or similar use as to a cemetery. As part of the tabled action, we did open and have this as a public hearing. I guess it would be my recommendation that we would hold another public hearing on this as to obtain additional information from the applicant and or from concerned citizens and legal counsel analysis, as well as additional, I guess, information as from myself. But again, this request is for a 32 plot perpetual family burial site as per the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix 17.5, Parent B, Parent 21, as a cemetery, as well as 17.5, Parent B, I don't know the code section, but as a like or similar use as to a cemetery. Again, the applicant is looking to have the 32 plot burial site located in the agricultural 2 zone district. This would be as for a private family burial plot. It would be something that this committee would want to determine whether or not a 32 plat family burial plot is as a like or similar use as to a cemetery. If you would conclude that it is a like or similar use as to a cemetery, we then could look at should the private 32 plot burial then need to meet all the requirements as specified in Chapter 157 and other applicable admin codes. If you do not feel that this is a like or similar use, you do need to have additional discussion as that if you don't think that a home burial or a green burial is a like or similar use to a cemetery, you're basically either preventing all family burials or green burials or home burials, period, or to the extent, and we did find some additional information from previous legal counsel for Wisconsin Towns Association, as well as other county code administrators, that if our ordinances specifically don't specify home burials or green burials, they could be an allowed use without any additional approval. So there's going to be some very specific information and discussion that is going to be needed from this committee. With that, I guess we can go back through any additional information that you have. You were sent plethoras of information. We have correspondence from the attorney from the town that was sent to the committee. I don't know if you want me to read any of this back into the public record. It's part of the record.
Did you guys, committee members read this stuff? Okay. I guess maybe we just need to put the new stuff in record. You might already have the other old stuff, right?
Yeah, and there was.
Jay, could you share that with me right there, please? I missed the last meeting, but I was trying to listen in.
Yeah,
Especially
the town
the attorney's comments.
Sure. So the town is an objection to this. Did you have a chance to read the town's response?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was read into record at the last meeting there as well. But as specifically from the attorney from the town of Draper. Dear zoning committee, my name is Lindsay Coles. I'm the attorney for Bach Norman SC. We represent the town of Draper. As you are aware, Eugene and John Burt have applied for conditional use permit to allow for perpetual family burial plot on land owned by Eugene Burt. At the committee's meeting on February 21st, 2025, the committee tabled this matter. While you have already received the recommendation of denial from the town, I'm writing today to hopefully shed some additional light on the issues and concerns with the application. As you are likely aware, zoning codes, including yours, are broken down into permitted uses and conditional uses for each type of zone district. A permitted use is a use that is allowed to occur as a right. There's no special permission or permit needed for a person to use their property for a permitted use. A conditional use is a type of use allowed for with a permit from the county and subject to the conditions you and the county zoning committee could consider. If the proposed use of the property is not permitted or a conditional use, it is simply not a use allowed on that type of property. Eugene Burt's property, upon which he desires a perpetual family burial plot, is located in the agricultural 2 zone district, and the county's ordinances of section 17.5 govern this as part of the A2, and it is not listed as a perpetual family burial plot as either a permitted or conditional use. As such, Eugene and John Burt should not be allowed to have a perpetual family burial plot on this property, either as a matter or a right or via a CUP. It has been noted that cemetery mausoleums and columbariums are like or similar uses as to a conditional use in the A2 zone district, and that certainly is correct. However, what the Burts are proposing is not a cemetery, nor is it a similar to such use. Cemeteries are more than just a place for human remains. They are heavy regulated property uses for the protection of public health, safety, and welfare. With Stats 157.061, defines a cemetery as any land, including a mausoleum on the land that is used or intended to be used exclusively for the burial of human remains. The Burt's land would not be exclusively used for the burial of human remains. The proposed perpetual family burial plot is a small portion of the entire parcel owned by Eugene Burt, and the property thereof, or therefore, has other uses beyond the burial of human remains. As a result, on the basis alone, this proposed use is not similar to a cemetery, and the application should be denied. Even if we agree for the purposes of this letter that a perpetual family burial plot could arguably fall under the definition of cemetery as set forth in the state statutes, what the Burts are proposing certainly does not constitute a cemetery when you look at the additional requirements placed on a cemetery by state law. Importantly, pursuant to Stats 157.065, you cannot have a cemetery unless it existed on April 4th, 1864. I think that's actually supposed to be 1964. Or it is organized and operated by a municipality, religious association, fraternal or benevolent society, incorporated college, or a religious order, or a cemetery association, a corporation, or a limited liability company. The Burt's perpetual family burial plot did not exist, yet nor are they proposing to have it run by any of the organizations as set forth. As such, it cannot be a cemetery or similar to a cemetery. Furthermore, a cemetery cannot be established within 200 feet of a habitable dwelling. While the exact location of the family burial plot is not clear, it appears likely to be proposed at a location within 250 feet of a habitable dwelling. Side note, I did look at that requirement. They are beyond 250 feet from a habitable dwelling as to where they're proposing this plot. A cemetery also has to have a formal plat recorded with the County Register of Deeds Office. The purpose of the requirement is to ensure future owners of the property that know about the burial site locations on the property, so that someone who buys the property 20 years down the road is not surprised when they go to plant a tree or otherwise develop the property. If a cemetery fails to record a plat, its plat is void and no plots can be sold. State law also requires cemeteries to be at least 20 contiguous acres in size. That is per 157.128. The Burt's proposed perpetual family burial plot is roughly 0.1 acres in size. Cemetery authority associations have strict reporting and record-keeping requirements of WSStat 157.62. There are just some of the many requirements placed on cemeteries that the Burt's perpetual family burial plot does not meet the standards and the requirements. For those reasons set forth, while both the perpetual family burial plot and cemetery deal with burying of human remains, the similarities stop there. The Burt's proposed perpetual family burial plot is not a cemetery nor similar to one, and the application should be denied. Even if we assume that the Burt's proposed use would be eligible for a CUP, it does not meet the standards for approving of a conditional use permit pursuant to section 8.1 of the Sawyer County zoning ordinance. You must consider the effects in the proposed use on health, general welfare, safety, economic prosperity of the county and the immediate area in which such use would be located. This includes considering the efforts in establishment of character and quality of the area, its physical attractiveness, existing topography, drainage features, erosion potential, vegetation cover, the prevention and control of water pollution, the location with respect to floodplains, floodways, the movement of traffic, the relationship to existing or proposed roads, the demand for related services, the possible hazardous, harmful, noxious, offensive, and nuisance effects resulting from dust, noise, smoke, odor, and other factors. Allowing an unregulated burial area to be located at the facility clearly has potential to create public nuisances. Without requirements in place, the Burts and their family could bury human remains in inappropriate ways, which would lead to serious health and welfare problems for the people in the town. The Burts may also establish the perpetual family burial plot in ways that create drainage or erosion issues and potentially even create water pollution issues. There is a reason cemeteries have such strict regulations, and it is to protect the health and safety of the community as well to avoid environmental issues. The application should be denied on this basis as well. In the event that you disagree with the above or decide to approve the application, the town strongly suggests that you place appropriate conditions on the CUP for the protection of the public. In particular, if you find that the family burial plot is similar to a cemetery, then it would be prudent of you to hold it to the same standards as a cemetery, including compliance with all the cemetery provisions of WISTAT Chapter 157, as well as other appropriate regulations for the public health, welfare, safety, including but not limited to requiring appropriate burial depths, vaults, grave markers, and maintenance of the property. In addition, as you may be aware, under certain circumstances, if a cemetery is abandoned, a town can be required by law to take control of the cemetery. The town already has a cemetery that comes to a great expense of the town, and the town does not want to be obligated to take on an additional perpetual family burial plot in the event that the Burts fail to take care of such property. As a result, should you choose to approve the application and give Burts a CUP for their perpetual family burial plot, the town reasonably requests that Sawyer County agree as part of the approval to take care of the Burts perpetual family burial plot in the event that state law requires a municipality to take control of such property. Perpetual family burial plot is neither permitted or conditional use as in the A2 zone district as outlined above. The Burts proposed use is not a cemetery nor similar to a cemetery. Approving this application could have significant financial and health consequences for the town should they have to take over the plot or deal with the nuisances or other issues stemming from improper care of the plot. And as such shown through the letters from the residents submitted to the town, such use could have a detrimental impact on the neighboring properties. For all these reasons, the application should be denied. Sincerely, Lindsay Coles.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thanks, Jay. So, all right, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-004. please.
Yes, sir. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
We
We
have
want
a
a public hearing.
motion by Mr. Schuman. Do I have a second? And a second by Mr. Magnuson to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-004. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are now in public hearing on CUP number 25-004. Okay, Mr. Burt, you want to speak to the committee again?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the zoning committee. I wish the attorney or the town first would have sent me a copy of what they're rejecting here. It's kind of hard to ingest all of what they said just at a meeting of this nature. It would have just been common courtesy, I think, for them to send us as petitioners a letter, let us know this. It was quite a long letter here that she wrote, but I have a couple things I want to say in addition to what I proposed all along. And I had a publication from the Center of Land Use for Education, and it says family burial sites may be maintained in their natural landscape or with native plants and flowers. They do not have to be mowed or maintained. They also benefit wildlife and the natural ecosystem. Therefore, once they are established, they are basically self-contained without any upkeep, as the town suggested in the last meeting. However, any upkeep is no problem. The Burts have 11 residents in the town of Draper, 11 of them. And the family members range from the age of 2 years old to 86 and have no inkling of abandoning the gravesite they wish to have for their loved ones. And the zoning application is under the name of Eugene Burt. And they stated that he has lots in the Draper Cemetery, and he does not. He nor his family own any lots in the Draper Cemetery, and that's why they want this one. Also, Eugene Burt has 3 disabled children, and they are indigent. And Draper, I don't think, is going to pick up that bill. They put a wage on you. You have to pay for the Draper Cemetery. Here, Eugene Burt's would be, well, no charge. And he can respectably bury his children in our own cemetery. And that's what we're contesting. They put a bill on the Draper Cemetery that we cannot afford to pay. But we do have land that we can make into a cemetery, and we have it prepared. We have it already surveyed, and there's, as far as health-wise, as this lawyer said, I buried people for 55 years in the Draper Cemetery. I worked under 15 different chairmen, and there's no upkeep in the Draper Cemetery other than mowing. I've been there for 55 years in that cemetery. They don't do any upkeep there. In fact, it's a disgrace right now. Since the last July, there's broken flower pots with the broken vases on top of veterans' headstones underneath the American flag, and it's been there since last July. And it's been commented on, and they didn't clean it up. There's trees that are leaning into the cemetery that are broken off and hazardous to anybody that would have a funeral there and would walk under them. There's big holes within the Draper Cemetery that you could break a horse leg in. And yet they don't maintain their own cemetery, and they're complaining about ours. And we already have ours in almost perfect condition, and we're just waiting for the ground to thaw out to level it. So if the zoning wants to look at it, or anybody, I maintained, like I say, that Draper Cemetery for 55 years. So I know how to take care of cemeteries, and we have people in our family that can also. So thank you very much for your
Mr.
time.
Burke, I got a question for you. Are you saying to the committee that you want your land to be a cemetery?
Just the lot that we have on our 32 lots.
And it's going to be a cemetery, right?
It's going to be a family burial plot.
But you're telling the committee it's a cemetery. I think there's a difference. I'm not quite sure, but
The same as I put, when I submitted that historical thing of all the other family burial plots throughout Sawyer County.
okay. My next question is, on these human remains, when you bury them on your site, how will they be buried? How will they be put in the ground?
They would be buried like a green burial natural cemetery. And it's the same thing that we had approved in the Draper Cemetery for green burial, but we'll do it the same way. And they said they have to be buried at least 3 foot deep That's just so the animals can't dig them out. And then they go back to the dust.
All right.
And there's no embalming fluid, no poisonous, nothing of this nature that can contaminate anything.
So would you bury them, you just dig the hole and you lay them in there?
Right, and that's been done throughout the United States.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant? No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Britt. All right. Does anyone out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Does anyone want to speak in opposition of this CUP? Linda?
Linda Zilmer, Edgewater resident, secretary treasurer and part-time sexton of the Birchwood Cemetery since 2006. I know a little bit about cemeteries. I know that we have, as a cemetery association, struggled with whether we should go along with a trend in some green burials. We have a hand pump on that site that we've talked to the DNR about the quality of the water. And we were told we should put a sign on it that it is not potable water. And I get often contacted by people wanting to know about old family cemeteries in the four counties around Birchwood. And even though there may be some family members of merely maybe 3-4 generations removed, even from a church cemetery, they are all grown over and turned to woods. They are not maintained. And I do want to primarily speak to how really sad I feel about this whole situation. I don't believe that it is the town that has misled the applicants. I believe when the applicants came here, the guidance that they received from zoning that this is a cemetery is what created this unfortunate situation that you have now. And so similar to what you will be doing with the bakery later under new business, this idea that has been coming up for many years now, as the zoning administrator said last month, this whole discussion of whether a family burial plot is a cemetery or not should have been addressed and not at this time. And I strongly agree with the town's attorney's representation that this is not a permitted or a conditional use, and it is not a cemetery. Thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone else out there want to speak in opposition? Anybody got their hands up on there?
Anyone online wishing to speak on this?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Identify yourself and go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Steve Bining, Blaisdell Lake Road, Town of Draper resident, Town of Draper supervisor. I just need to address some of the comments that were recently stated by the applicant's agent and kind of clear some of the air on that. The Burts currently have over 30 plats in the Town of Draper Municipal Cemetery. So we have the documentation for that at the town hall with the mapping per chapter 157 for a municipal cemetery, correct? Mr. Burt also claims indigence and needing the plat care. There are programs in the state that can help people with this. And when it comes to the rates, Draper's rates are the same as that in the town of Winter. Our neighboring cemeteries are the same. This is the same across many of the municipalities. When I contacted several funeral homes, we actually came out at about 25% of some of the costs that were told to us from other counties. Draper already allows green burials. That was placed in the bylaws in 2021. As to the condition of the cemetery, the snows have not allowed us to get at the bent trees yet. We have employees. That is, the work order was created a couple of weeks ago to get in there as soon as we can get on that dirt. The frost is coming out. We do not want to damage that cemetery, So we haven't been able to get in there and perform the necessary maintenance, which will be performed by our town crew on the trees. And we have a hired sexton who we contract with. So for liability purposes, the work is done by the sexton at our cemetery, correct? And he maintains that cemetery at a cost of $6,000 per year. My question would be along the lines of 3 foot deep. I'm not sure what chapter 157 states as far as burial depth, but I guess I would question that. And then if this is something Sawyer County wants, well, then I guess it's up to Sawyer County to own it then, because the town of Draper, we don't have a ton of money down in town of Draper for extra stuff after maintaining our roads and fire department and town hall and the shop and the machinery and paying some employees. So we would ask if the county wants to approve this, to add a condition that the county take it over if it falls into disrepair. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bynum. All right, anyone else want to speak in opposition? Okay, if not, I need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-004, please.
Yes, sir, I'll make that motion. We come out of public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Schuman. Do I have a second? Now we have a second by Mr. Magnuson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-004. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are now out of public hearing on CUP number 25-004. So number B, Jay.
Yes, this is the discussion action for the Town of Draper conditional use permit number 25-004, owner Eugene Burt. Legal description is previously read into record. Permit is desired for a perpetual family burial plot as per the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D, Section 17.5, Parent B, Parent 21. Let me find the actual other citation portion. Because there's really kind of two aspects to this request. First, the committee would need to determine whether or not this is as a like or similar use as to a cemetery. And then from there, you would need to determine that if by the amount of plots that are being requested, that this would then be held to the same standards of it being as a cemetery, which I think one could make that case. 32 family burial plots, certainly could meet to the merits of a cemetery and then therefore need to follow all other state requirements of being a cemetery as to chapter 157. So that is part of your discussion action. We do have legal counsel on as well, but would definitely hopefully help answer any other questions you guys may have.
Okay. Rebecca,
Yes.
are you on there?
Good morning, everyone. My apologies. I'm in the car and slept about an hour since the board meeting last night. So I'm looking my finest in my Ruth Bader Ginsburg picture here. So
Before you get started, Rebecca, would you just, when you do this, make it so the committee can understand your terms, please?
you betcha, sir. That's
Okay.
That's great advice. So the way that Jay summarized what you're being asked to do is correct. Number one question before you is whether this is a like or similar use, and that is the question based on section 17 of your ordinances. I think it's appropriate that Jay brought this to the committee and followed that process that has been followed traditionally. And so the question again is whether what is being proposed by Mr. Burt is a like or similar use. We've heard a lot of information from the applicant both today and at the February 21st meeting regarding the details of what is being proposed. And there is no definition in the ordinances of what is a cemetery. So we looked to the state statutes last month and had a good discussion about what chapter 157 requires. There is no number threshold in the statutes of what is a cemetery versus what is a family burial plot. or family burial site. There's no case law on this point. However, in chapter 449.91, they use
I don't know if you can hear us, Rebecca, but you're
the
frozen,
number
cut
of
out.
20 or more cemetery lots in a 2-year period.
Yeah, Rebecca, you're coming in and out of audio and freezing up on our end here.
Must be licensed by the state. Okay. We don't have a number to tell us what is a cemetery versus a family burial site. However, the statutes do reference 20 as a threshold of requiring state registration with the state cemetery board. So I think you can look to 20 as a good rule of thumb as to whether something is a cemetery or it's not a cemetery. Given that Mr. Burt is proposing 32, I think this looks a lot like a cemetery. And so therefore, I would highly recommend that your conditions include all of the elements set forth in chapter 157 of a cemetery. Now, consideration for you is who is going to enforce that. And because this would be a county conditional use permit, it would be on the county to ensure that Mr. Burt and his family are complying with chapter 157. That is a very high burden for the county.
And I guess the other, clarification I want to make to this committee, I mean, yes, home burial is not, or a green burial site is not listed in the ordinance at all. Now, if you did not think that, or did not view this as a like or similar use, you're basically stating that there is no avenue, period, to basically bury Grandpa in the backyard. Grandpa's lived on this farm for the last 80 years. He grew up here. He really always wanted to be buried under the oak tree. Sorry, can't do it. Put him in a cemetery that's already approved. If you think that there should be an avenue to bury someone in the backyard, you need to view this as a like or similar use and still have that applicant apply for conditional use permit so you can solidify where that body is to be buried on that property.
My question is, Jay, on this and the committee is, when Mr. Burt was up talking to the committee, there was numerous times he called it a cemetery. In his own words, it was a cemetery.
Right, and we heard a little bit of the discussion from Rebecca that as per, and I couldn't catch the section that you cited there, but basically that threshold number as viewed in somewhere in state statutes is really kind of as 20. That over 20 sites, it really should meet the merits of an official cemetery.
Yeah, and that is not specifically in the statutes that says 20 equals a cemetery, but that is the one reference we have in chapter 440 of a number as a threshold. And what that means is that if you're over 20, you have to be licensed by the state cemetery board. And so again, I think because of the lack of definitions and specific components in the statutes or the lack thereof, I think you can use that 20 as a reasonable threshold when making your decision.
Right, and Kay, go ahead. She's got her hand up.
Go ahead, Kay.
Good morning. I too had some problems with definitions. When I think of a home burial plot, I think of grandma and grandpa and maybe a baby that didn't make it and the family dog. But I think if we were going to proceed on a family burial plot, I think we need to take a step back and do a definition, create an ordinance with specific requirements for a family home burial site. And because we don't have a definition, I think we need to use the state statutes for a cemetery. And I believe that the Burt family does not qualify because they don't have a care fund They don't have a cemetery association. They don't have a cemetery board. This was not professionally land surveyed. The ownership doesn't qualify. So if we're going to consider it as a like use to a cemetery, I do not think that this qualifies.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Magnuson.
Mr. Burt, he's asking in the petition for a perpetual family burial plot. That's very clear in his request. He's not requesting a cemetery. As she said, a cemetery is if you bury 20 people or more per year. The cemetery, I'm sure that isn't even going to be close. It's not going to be maintained as a cemetery. He said it's going to be a natural woods. The woods and the grass will grow. It's going to be a wild, natural area. It won't be maintained as a cemetery. And he wants to do a green burial where the body decomposes naturally in the ground instead of being put in a concrete vault like a cemetery does that requires. So that's how people have been buried since time began, at this shell grave where the body decomposes naturally with no chemicals. That's how all animals in the woods die. And there's no contamination from them, no pollution from the natural animals that die in the woods. So it's not similar to a cemetery. It's a family burial plot, green burial plot, that would be used by his family on his property, out in the woods with no neighbors. I believe it should be just approved. Can I make a motion to that effect? I make a motion to approve CUP 25-004 as a family burial plot with conditions 1, 2, and 3, and based on the facts and findings of 1 through 14.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the CUP number 25-004. Do we want a second?
Any discussion before the second?
Yes. I mean, this is a major thing here.
Yeah. Okay, then real quick in discussion. Rebecca, can we legally approve this if it's not considered a cemetery? I mean, I think I heard you say with the ordinance, for us to even consider approval, it must be considered a cemetery.
Well, no. Your first step is it is a like or similar use, because family burial sites are not referenced in your ordinance as either a permitted use or a conditional use. So based on the motion that it is being approved as a family burial site is not permitted under your ordinances. And so I would not recommend that you approve this as a family burial site. The only way you could get to an approval from a legal standpoint is if you determine it is a like or similar use to a cemetery, which then begs the question is, if it's a like or similar use, then based on the information we have, what are proper conditions? And I would argue that proper conditions are what the state statutes require for cemeteries. Again, based on the threshold, based on all of the other information you've heard today. And I will just say, I understand this dilemma that all of you are facing, and that, you know, this is a situation where it seems like the right thing to do to allow a family to do this. But your legal mechanisms, your ordinances do not allow it unless we follow this legal process. And so the solution is then you change your ordinance to allow for family burial sites.
Yeah, Rebecca, I'm listening to what Mr. Burt said, and I said this before, when he was given his speech up here, he called it a cemetery. So to me, it's a similar like to a cemetery. I guess if it wasn't a cemetery, why would he say it was a cemetery when he was talking to the committee? So that's telling me that it's going to be like a cemetery. So it's a similar like. I guess if he'd have left that out of there and called it what the applicant had on his application, I don't know. I think it's a similar or like to a cemetery.
I disagree there, Ron. He has it written down in there as he asked for a perpetual family burial plot. And he was very specific about a family burial plot, green burial. You talked everybody else talked a lot about cemeteries, and the people of the town of Draper refer to it as a cemetery. The Burts say it's a family burial plot, and they've been very poignant on that. It's a family burial plot. It's not a cemetery. And in my motion, I was pretty clear that it's not similar to a cemetery. It's in my motion, it's a family burial plot, green burial. It's not similar to a cemetery. That was in my motion.
I can interrupt on that point.
Go ahead.
That's exactly right. And there is no legal mechanism for the county to approve a family burial site if it is not a like or similar use to a cemetery. It's a family burial site is not a permitted use. It is not a conditional use. And so again, with that motion being very specific that it is not a like or similar use to a cemetery, again, there is no legal mechanism. There is no ordinance that allows the county to approve this conditional use.
Okay.
If it is not a like or similar use, you cannot approve it because you have no legal way to approve a family burial site at this time.
Okay. All right. We have a motion on the floor to approve the CUP number 25-004. Okay.
Call for second. If there's no second, motion fails.
Does anybody want to second that motion? If not, the motion fails.
Really now, you would want to make a potential motion that it is a like or similar use. At that point, it is a like or similar use to a cemetery, and you still, I guess. Rebecca, would you want this done in potentially two parts? Would you want the committee to determine that this is a like or similar use and then proceed with potential approval of the CUP as itself or a denial of the CUP itself? But let's first get at least the one part down that it is a like or similar use as two separate motions. Did you hear me, Rebecca? Oh, you're muted.
Better? Okay. Yes, I think what you're proposing, Jay, makes sense because that this is not a like or similar use, then the discussion is over. Because the county, the committee do not have a mechanism to approve a family burial site if it is not a like or similar use.
Right.
Now,
And if it
if
is
the-
as a like or similar use, then we really should be looking at all the requirements as to basically form a cemetery.
Correct. Correct. So if the committee in question number 1 decides, yes, it's a like or similar use, then it takes us to the analysis of, okay, should we approve this conditional use permit? And if so, what substantial evidence justifies any conditions we place on the permit? Or if we're inclined to deny the conditional use permit, what substantial evidence justifies the denial? And I can help the committee walk through what those pieces of substantial evidence are if the committee is so inclined.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chairman,
Go ahead.
I got a question for Rebecca too. Rebecca, we've got all these conditions for, possible conditions for approval and findings of facts, but I don't see any conditions for denial. You said you'd walk us through that?
Well, you wouldn't have conditions for a denial, you'd have substantial evidence for a denial.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so you're correct, Mr. Schuman. There's substantial evidence required for both. So the evidentiary standard is the same for a condition or for denial. But we don't put conditions on a denial.
Got it.
We need substantial evidence to support that denial.
So really, at this point, it'd be palatable for the committee to make a motion on, is this a like or similar uses to a cemetery? Right. And that would be step 1. From that answer, then we know what step 2 would be.
Got it.
Okay, committee. Okay, you got any input on this?
Well, I believe because of the size of this plot, it is a like or similar use to a cemetery because it's over 20.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
I will make a motion to the, that this CUP is a like or similar use to a cemetery.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Wilson. Do we have a second? I will second that motion. Any more discussion?
Just looking at 157.128, 3B says a cemetery consisting of less than 20 contiguous acres may be dedicated by a cemetery authority that is not required to be licensed under 440.91, parent 1, and that is not organized or conducted for profit. Is this an avenue potentially for this to be approved? Rebecca?
No, because I think the statute that you're referring to is, it's already classified as a cemetery, and it must meet the legal standards of a cemetery, or I'm sorry, it must meet the legal requirements in Chapter 157 of a cemetery. So I don't think that section, if I'm understanding the question correctly, provides any sort of remedy here.
Because 157.128 requires at least 20 acres and owned by a religious organization, and the organization is responsible for all liabilities, etc.
Yeah, and that section is not the 20 that I was referring to. The 20.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is acres, not plots.
Right. Okay. So is the question whether that, and I'm sorry, you said 157.28?
128.
128.
128.
And then 3B, a cemetery consisting of less than 20 contiguous acres may be dedicated by a cemetery authority that is not required to be licensed under 440.91 and is not organized or conducted for profit. And then 440.91 is any cemetery authority that operates as a cemetery that has a $50,000 or more in trust fund account for a cemetery shall apply to the board for a license for that cemetery.
Yeah, so back to 157.128, again, we're talking about a cemetery that has a cemetery association and all of those elements that are required in the statute. We don't have that here. And so I don't think this really provides any relief or remedy for what the county is being asked to do. And then also, I mean, even if it did, you'd have to question of who is that dedication to. And so, I mean, that's a whole other separate issue. So no, unfortunately, I don't think 157.128 provides a remedy here.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and seconded to that this is a similar or like to a cemetery.
Correct. In discussion, Chairman, then that'd be going against, the town's decision was based on that it's not like a cemetery. Is that true, Jay?
Yes.
And then we'd be going against the town's attorney, which stated that the Burt's proposed perpetual family burial plot is not a cemetery, nor similar to one. So I'm just
Right,
stating
but
that.
then there's also that second page that even if we agreed for the purposes of this letter, that a perpetual family burial plot could fall under the definition of a cemetery, that it would need to meet all the requirements of 157, which that would be the formation of a cemetery authority. That would be upkeep of the property. That would be bonding requirements.
And according to Rebecca, that would fall back on the county then,
It would.
correct? I think she said that.
Yes, unless you were to find that there was substantial evidence that the Burts could not meet those said requirements.
Dave, if I can, I'm just going to speak very frankly. I don't disagree with the town's attorney's letter. I agree with all of her points made in that letter, that this does not look like a like or similar use. However, if the county determines that this is not a like or similar use, there is no mechanism for family burial plot proposals to come in front of you. They are essentially prohibited in Sawyer County. And that is certainly, you can make that choice and then change the ordinances to allow family burial plots. But we only get to the question of either conditions or a denial of this proposal if we make a decision of whether it's a like or similar use. Frankly, I don't think it's a like or similar use. I think it sure looks like a cemetery. And the application says it's a family burial site, but as I had a law professor say once, you can call it Yankee Doodle. You can call it whatever you want. What you have to go by as a committee is what are the facts and what is the actual use being proposed. And so he may call it a family burial site, but if you feel that it's a cemetery, then it's a cemetery. I think that's an appropriate decision.
Okay. All right, we have this out on the floor. Kathy, just read that back quickly for us, will you? The motion that Kate came.
Motion by Wilson stating that she feels it is a like or similar use to a cemetery. Second by Buckholz.
Okay. So now we're gonna do a roll call, right? Jay, yes.
Dale Magnuson,
No.
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Steve Carriennen. Tweed Schuman,
No.
3-2 in favor.
Okay.
So now that we're basically viewing this as a cemetery, now you have the additional decision on whether or not you're approving the conditional use permit and to the extent what conditions you are to place on it, or if you are to deny the conditional use permit in that you find substantial evidence that the applicant cannot meet said requirements.
So should we ask the applicant if he can meet them?
The applicant would have to agree to said conditions, and all those conditions would really end up requiring all of the elements of chapter 157, the formation of a cemetery association, special taxing for maintenance of a cemetery. We heard the town stated that they would want additional conditions that if it falls into the disrepair, that the county would take this over. Platting of lands, but the applicant has at least submitted a prelim plat to our office pending this conditional use permit outcome. Now, there may have to be some changes on that plat as to designate it a little bit differently, but that shouldn't be too difficult to obtain. The applicant would have to agree to abandonment conditions, the aspects of additional bonding as required by 440, all the other requirements of DSPS for the proper disposal of human remains. Anything else that I'm missing that's popping off the page to you, Rebecca? And we lost Rebecca. Go ahead, Kay, you have your hand up.
I was going to make a motion to deny this CUP based on the facts that it does not satisfy State Statute 157, Care Fund, Cemetery Association, Cemetery Board, Professional Land Surveyor.
Kay, we're losing your audio. We heard denial because it does not meet the requirements of 157, and then it kind of trailed off from there.
Because it does not have a care fund, Cemetery Association.
Nothing's coming through there for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Schuman is needing to leave and Mr. Savitsky will now be operating as a voting member. Kay, we still didn't hear everything you said there. I don't know if you can write it in the chat or if you can try it one more time there for us.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I made a motion to deny the CUP because it does not satisfy State Statute 157. It does not have a care fund, a cemetery association, cemetery board, a professional land surveyor did not lay out this plat, and it does not qualify for ownership.
Get all that, Kath? Care Fund, Association, Land Surveyor, Ownership. What was the other one?
A cemetery board.
We did have her.
Board? Yeah, thank you. You have a motion.
And I would second that motion as stated.
Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Wilson and a second by Mr. Savitsky to deny the CUP number 25-004 with the recommendations that was read in the record. Any more discussion? Not? Let's do a roll call, Kathy.
Dale Magnuson,
No.
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
Thank you. Ron Buckle.
Yes.
Steve Carriennen.
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Could I ask one question there to the attorney?
Yes.
So with it being denied, you said before that basically they can just do it without permission from the county. Isn't that what the legal?
There's nothing in ordinance that would allow for you to bury bodies in the ground without prior approval of a CUP. That CUP was now just denied.
Right, well, she said that you can just, that there's nothing in the ordinance to
Right,
not
and
allow
ultimately,
it,
I
to not
mean-
allow it.
Right, so this case is ultimately going to promulgate me to look at other counties to what they have for home burial sites. Because I do think there should be an avenue to bury, whether it's 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or even potentially 1 to 20. As we heard from the attorney about that potential threshold. Or if someone wants to do that, maybe there is a different route for a conditional use permit for home burial versus a cemetery. But the current ordinances are not laid out as such. And obviously this case is definitely
Can
avenue, so.
can your office pursue that to try to get some clarification on how to develop an ordinance in that
Yep,
sort?
we've already
And-
started looking at that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I speak
You want to
to
jump
that,
right
though?
into the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Public hearing, town of,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I really want to speak to this one. We're a little out of order, but this is a very important point. Jay mentioned before that there was a letter from the Wisconsin Towns Association that said if a use is not excluded, then it is therefore permitted. I do not agree with that legal interpretation. Since that town attorney or that WTA legal opinion, and also based on the language of your ordinances. So in this situation, because a family burial site is not a permitted use or a conditional use, does not mean that it's automatically permissible. And so I want to make that very clear. Again, the law as it states as of today in Sawyer County is not that if a code is silent on a use, then it's permitted.
okay, thank you. This is a public hearing in the town of Lenroot, conditional use permit number 25-024, owner Jeffrey and Lynette Fix, part of the northeast one quarter of the southwest one quarter of section 34, township 42 north, range 9 west, tax
Your
ID
county,
1,
it either has to be or a
tax ID
permitted use
18666.
or
Who is that?
That's Rebecca.
Oh.
It's 1.45 total acres, zoned residential recreational 1. Permit is desired for a 45 by 80 accessory structure across the town road, which is Ewig Road, from where the principal structure is located. This will be set back 90 feet from the center line, 5 feet from the south lot line, 25 feet from the north lot line, 300 feet from the west lot line, as per the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D, Section 4.26, Parent 2 and Parent 3, with conditions. Again, this permit is desired for a 45 by 80 accessory structure across the town road from where the primary dwelling is located. This is all on one combined lot. It's not two separate lots. This is per section 4.26 parent 3. The construction of a single accessory structure on an adjacent parcel of land divided by a public roadway that does not contain the principal structure may be allowed by conditional use permit, and the construction of the single accessory structure on parcels of land that are divided by a public roadway and defined as one continuous tract of land will also require a conditional use permit. As per the conditions of 4.26 is that the accessory structure cannot be constructed on that part of the parcel contained in the principal structure due to an inability to meet setbacks. A 45 by 80 accessory structure would not be able to fit on the lakeside portion because of the inability to meet setbacks from current roadway setbacks and the driveway location as well as the drain field location. Albeit that, again, this proposed structure could not fit on that lakeside portion. It would also lessen the impervious surface impacts as that the proposed new structure would be located approximately 400 feet away from Nelson Lake. This is on the same parcel of land, again, though it is divided by a public roadway. The proposed structure would meet all other applicable setbacks as per the ordinance. Other structures already exist on the backside of Ewig Lane, and some are of similar size. This is again on the same parcel of land, and we would use both the requirements of 4.26 and 4.26 parent 3. And this is not within a platted subdivision, so there is no maximum size or height restriction. Again, the applicant is requesting to build a 3,600 square foot accessory structure on the backside of Ewig Lane. In conversations with the applicant, the accessory structure is to be used for storage for vehicles and other recreational equipment such as boats and snowmobiles, and a personal shop area for the applicant. The applicant would not be allowed to create habitable living within this accessory structure, which may not contain beds, bedrooms, or kitchen facilities. The current primary dwelling on the same lot is divided by the town road. It would be approximately 400 feet from the ordinary high water mark. No pressurized water or plumbing fixtures are proposed as part of this accessory structure request. As by action of the town board, motion was approved. Gordy Christians, Town Chair Michael Bando, Supervisor Jack Schustrom. I think he said denied. Yeah, Brent Danielson, Supervisor approved. Jason Schustrom, Supervisor approved. Findings of facts 1, 3, 4, and 8 of my staff report as outlined as the conditional use permit 25-024. No additional conditions. Robert Ubehold, Town Clerk. There were 11 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. None of those were returned. As per my staff report, as part of the conditions, I had listed no habitable area, no commercial use, the size of the accessory structure not to exceed 3,600 square feet in area and less than 18 feet in height, must follow all other town, county, state, federal regulations, including any applicable town driveway permits or sanitation requirements, that a Surrey County land use permit be required as prior to the construction of the garage, and that the CUP would go with the property. That is all.
Okay, all right. I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-024.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr.
I'll
Savitsky
second.
and a second by Mr. Kerry Heinen to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing on CUP number 25-024. Is the applicants here?
They
Yeah,
are,
Jeff Fix is here, Lynette.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, talk to the committee, sir.
Sure. We're just hoping to build a shed across the road there, so I have a place for work on my toys and stuff, and another part of it will be just for storage of extra toys. Hoping in the future to move up there, and this will be one of our permanent, bring all our stuff from where we're at now up there to live up there eventually.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Okay. If not, anyone out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone want to speak in opposition of this CUP? Anybody got their hand up? No?
see no hands raised.
Okay, all right, need a motion to come out as public hearing on CUP number 25-024.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky
Second here.
and a second by Mr. Kerry Heinen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Mr. Magnuson, you can't walk out on a zoning committee meeting and just go. You have to get permission. You're part of this committee. You need to listen to what's going on here. So that's just an update to you.
All right, as part of, did you guys vote on that? To come out of public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. This is discussion and action for CUP number 25-024, Town of Lenroot, owner Jeffrey and Lynette Fix. Legal description is previously read into record. The permit is desired for a 45/80 accessory structure across the town road as per Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D, Section 4.26, Parent 2, Parent 3. As per my staff report, possible conditions is listed, no habitable area within this structure. No commercial use operation would be allowed. Size of accessory structure not to exceed 3,600 square feet and less than 18 feet in height. Must follow all other town, county, state, and federal regulations. The Sawyer County land use permit be required prior to the construction of the garage, and that the conditional use permit would go with the property.
Okay, committee. Turn it over to you.
I'll make a motion to approve the CUP with the conditions set forth in J staff report and findings of facts 1 through 14.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Terrianen.
Yes, thank you.
To come into, or to approve a CUP number 25-024. Any more discussion? So, roll call, Kathy, please.
Kate Wilson.
Yes.
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky,
Yes.
Dale Magnuson,
Yes.
Steve Carrianen,
Yes,
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
All in favor, thank you.
Just stop me if you guys ever need a break here, otherwise I'm gonna just keep rolling.
Let's take a quick break, Jay.
You want a quick one?
We're gonna take a 5-minute break, please. You have everybody.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, we're back in session here in the zoning committee.
All right, this is a public hearing, the town of Meadowbrook, conditional use permit number 25-018. Owner Steve and Angela, just try to go through it, Kelberg. Agent Lee Larson is part of the Northwest one quarter of the Southwest one quarter, section 15, township 37 north, range 6 west, parcel, or tax ID 19103, is zoned to agricultural 2. It is 1.5 total acres. Permit is desired for the construction of a 250-foot self-support cell tower with bug tussle wireless internet. Per Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D, Section 17.4, Parent B, Parent 4. It's part of my staff report. Again, this is per a telecommunication tower, 250 foot in height, with the new changes of 66.0404 mobile tower siting regulations, including the changes of 2017 and 2019. Counties are somewhat limited in the local regulations as long as an applicant or mobile service provider can comply with the provisions of 66.0404. The Sawyer County telecommunication ordinance at this point would be out of date and not compliant. The applicant has submitted this request and does meet all of the merits of the request of 66.0404. We did receive this application back on December 16th of 2024. We were supposed to have some type of either approval or denial within 90 days. However, the applicant has agreed in writing to extend that 90-day process. This is due to our timing considerations with the county zoning committee public hearing process, but we do have that in writing that they have accepted an extension of the 90-day review period. All other determinations have been tentatively approved by myself, including floodplains and wetlands. Now, there are some setback considerations that we would need to go over here, and I would list that as part of a specific conditions, and I'll get to that here in a second. The proposed tower height, again, is 250 feet. The applicant has provided a fall zone letter, which indicates that the fall zone is to be 100 feet. There would be no lesser setback than 100 feet required. A greater setback would not be able to be imposed. The applicant is currently in the process of updating the survey map to actually expand the parcel boundaries. That would then give a 100-foot setback. The current property owner does own the surrounding land. For the new survey maps should be as a condition upon approval in order to maintain those minimum fall zone requirements. A preliminary survey has been submitted showing new parcel line boundaries, which would meet the fall zone requirements, but it has not yet been recorded. By my list of potential conditions, again, that a land use permit be required for the telecommunication facility. Ultimately, you would need a land use permit prior to erecting the tower. Prior to issuing the land use permit, that a new survey map would be required showing and maintaining the 100-foot fall zone setback to an adjacent property line. that a bond would be received in the amount of $30,000 in order to keep compliance with the issuance of the conditional use permit. This bond would need to have an active status, that all other town, county, state, and federal laws are followed, including town approval of the CUP, and DOT or town road access be required if necessary. It appears that the site location is to be located off of a town road. By action of the town board, motion was approved, signed Bill Haynes, supervisor, Ted Matazinski, supervisor, with the additional comment that they need to maintain the 100-foot fall zone as part of a new survey map. Again, you would basically condition approval of a CUP, and I would not issue the land use permit for erection of the tower until that applicant was able to provide that they can meet that 100-foot fall zone setback from the next adjacent property line. Again, the owner owns all the surrounding land, but new survey lines, new lot lines need to be drawn before I would issue a land use permit. That is all.
Okay. All right, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-018.
I'll make that.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Magnuson to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-018. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are now in public hearing on CUP number 25-018. Is the applicants here? They're online?
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Larson.
Yes, Lee Larson, representative for Bug Tussle and the tower in this location. And it's been stated that it's a 250-foot tower. We have an affidavit of from our engineer who has given approval for coverage. So this would be a good site for us for Bug Tussle wireless internet and potentially county use as well for communication, whatever's needed for that. It does have additional spots for co-location if any other carrier. You can see right there on the left, there are potential up to 4 co-location spots, and that meets the requirement for weight. So not to have any more than that, but based on our fall zone, that's been taken into consideration. So it is it's a self-support, so there are no guide cables here. Does anyone have any questions?
I do, sir. Without any guide cables, is that pretty safe? A freestanding tower like that?
Yes, we have numbers of them around the state. We've never had one fall. They do build in it's engineered into the metal structure itself, where it would fall within that 100-foot radius. And it's additional costs on our end, but that's necessary in this case to meet the fall zone. So that is, we do have an engineered letter in the fall zone that would take that structure into a 100-foot radius. But as far as how much wind it can handle, there is a letter, I can read it. Wind speeds up to 90 miles an hour. And obviously beyond that, it would be tornado condition, and then that's active God. But it still would fall. There are metal break points to make it fall. Towers don't fall straight. They're break points to have it literally twist into the circle. So that's engineered into it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I did state before that one of the conditions would be that they would need that bond. We actually have been provided that bond that was signed and sealed on the 14th of June of 2024. So we probably would need the official copy still. This is probably just a electronic copy, but they have submitted and do have bonding assurance for if that power was to go into a state of disrepair.
Okay. All right. Committee, you have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Carriana? Kay, you got any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. So does anyone out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of this CUP? Okay, if not, need a motion to come out of CUP number 25-018.
I make a motion.
We have a motion by Mr.
And I'll
Magnuson
second it.
and a second by Mr. Savitsky to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-018. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing on CUP number 25-018.
Discussion action, Town of Meadowbrook, conditional use permit 25-018, owner Steve and Angela Kellberg, agent Lee Larson for Bug Tussle. Request is for a 250-foot self-support cell tower as per Sawyer County Code of Ordinances, Appendix D, Section 17.4, Parent B, Parent 4. When making a motion, please keep in mind my staff report as a list of possible conditions and findings of fact.
Okay, committee.
I'll make a motion, due to the applicant agreeing to all the requirements. So I'll make a motion to approve this CUP 25-018 with all conditions set forth in J staff report and findings of facts 1 through 14.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to approve the CUP number 25-018. Any more discussion? Hearing none, can we have roll call? Kathy, please?
Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Steve Carrianen. Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on, this is a conditional use permit in the town of Radisson, CUP number 25-007, owner James and Leslie Walzak, southwest one quarter of the northwest one quarter, map of survey number 20387-4, tax ID 22616. It is 40 total acres zoned to agricultural 1, known as the Earthly Materials Pit. Permit is desired for the 5-year renewal of conditional use permit number 19-035, which was last renewed on July 19th, 2019 for the location operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher and asphalt plant. CUP was originally approved at a public hearing on June 15th, 2007. As per my staff report, again, this is for a renewal of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher and asphalt plant. Property is approximately 40 total acres with a total permitted mine site of 9 acres with current active open acres of approximately 4. It is anticipated that expansion of the pit would occur over the next 5 years towards the south with annual extraction of approximately 10,000 cubic yards. It is anticipated that the open pit area would not exceed 5 acres. The surrounding land use is mostly agricultural forestry with the nearest residence of greater than 1,400 feet away. Sawyer County Zoning Conservation Department does currently not have any complaints on file for this property. The current hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Crushing and asphalt plant to be conducted by secondary firms 3 to 6 weeks per year. Financial assurance has been received in the amount of $12,000 in the form of a bond and remains active. As part of my staff report, conditions would be to maintain compliance with NR 135, maintain compliance with the plan of operation, including current hours of operation from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and that crushing and asphalt plant be run by secondary firms 3 to 6 weeks per year. The zoning committee may want to set a date and time duration for that crushing and asphalt plant, because as of right now, how it would read is just 3 to 6 weeks per year. You may want to state that it's to be from the hours of X to X, or the days of X to X. And those are things that, we generally try to clean up so that we have a more, I guess, structured time frame as to when that crushing occurs. Because as I would read this right now, they could crush at 1 a.m. on a Saturday morning. So it is something that you probably would want to set as part of a condition, and hopefully the applicant can shed some more light as to, what those timeframes or days might be. Also, to maintain compliance with the Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 30, all other town, county, state, federal laws are followed, that the CUP goes with the property, that if the property changes hand before the next renewal, the new owner must complete a non-metallic mining transfer form with Sawyer County to acknowledge the compliance of the current plan of operation conditions and reclamation plan, and that the 5-year renewal would be backdated to July 19th of 2024. As by action of the town board, motion was approved. Phil Quaddy, Chair, Ron Kinsley, Supervisor. No additional comments. Signed Patty Simonson, Town Clerk. 4 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 0 were returned.
Okay. All right, need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-007.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky. Do I have a second? And a second by Mr. And a second by Mr. Magnuson to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-007. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing on CUP number 25-007. And thank you for that anyway, Kay.
Just a second shy.
Is the applicant on? Oh, okay. All right, want to talk to the committee?
I think the one important thing that the committee is probably wanting to know is about those crushing timeframes. Because again, your current plan of operation specifies that crushing and the asphalt plant are run by secondary firms, but it just says 3 to 6 weeks per year. Your normal hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. We generally have heard that, that the crushers, want to get in there and they want to get out. But we definitely want to have some structure as to the time frames that crushing would be occurring, as well as days. Is it going to be 7 days a week? Is it going to be Monday through Saturday? So I guess that's what the committee would be looking at from you. But please state your name and address for the record.
Jim Walzak, owner of the Earthy Materials Pit. I don't maybe make this a lot easier, but as it stands right now, there's no more crushing in the pit there. It's done. The last crush was in July of 21, and materials all used up except for my topsoil and fill sand, and then doing the reclamation in between. So I got about, I don't know if you looked at it, a third to a half. That's growing corn again. And then I still have materials left to screen for sand, but no gravel. Except for material, a lot of it might be hauling in and out of there for stock. But
So would you be agreeable to removing crushing operation from your plan of operation?
you can remove the whole, yes.
Okay.
Because there's nothing left in there to crush.
Right. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Wong? Okay. Jim, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you at first. Been a while since I seen you. Sorry.
All right.
Okay. All right.
All I
They
have.
don't have any questions. Thank you. Does anyone out there want to speak in opposition or in favor of this CUP? Anyone wants to speak in opposition of this CUP? Not, need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-007.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky. Okay, you want a second?
Sure.
Okay, we have a second by Ms. Wilson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-007. All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing on CUP number 25-007.
This is the discussion action for, still need that one. This is a discussion action for CUP number 25-007, owner James and Leslie Walzak. Legal description is previously read into record. The request is for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-035, which would be for the location operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation. I guess I wouldn't be doing my due diligence in my job if I didn't re-ask the applicant. Would there be asphalt plant operation still? Okay. So as from what we heard from the applicant's testimony, that they would be agreeable to removal of the crushing operation as well as asphalt plant as part of their plan of operation. So my list of potential conditions as part of an approval process would be to maintain compliance with NR 135, maintain compliance with the plan of operation, including current hours of operation of 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and that the crushing and the asphalt plant would be removed to maintain compliance with Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 30, that all other town, county, state, federal laws are followed. The CUP goes with the property. If the property is to change hands, that a non-metallic mining transfer form would be completed, and that the 5-year renewal would be backdated to July 19th of 2024.
Okay. All right, committee.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP 25-007, with the condition of the removal of the rock crushing and asphalt plant as Jay indicated, and the rest of his staff report and findings of facts 1 through 14.
All right, we have a second.
I'll second.
And a second by Mr. Magnuson to approve CUP number 25-007. Any more discussion? Okay, roll call, Kathy.
Marshall Savitsky,
Yes.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
Steve Kirianen,
Yes.
all in favor. Thank you.
Public hearing, Town of Draper, CUP 25-008, owner Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Flambeau River State Forest. All of this property is located in section 28 of Township 39 North, Range 3 West. It is parcel 006-339285101. It is approximately 600 total acres, zone forestry 1. Permit is desired for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-040, which was last renewed on August 16th of 2019 for the location and operation of mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher, which was originally approved at a public hearing on August 15th, 2014. It is 80 acres of the total 600 acres being considered. This is known as the Payne Pit. As part of my staff report, again, 5-year renewal of CUP 19-040. Approximately 600 total acres with a permitted mine site within the reclamation plan of 5 acres. The current active open acres is approximately 3. This pit is used by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources project for highway maintenance project for the town of Draper. The surrounding land use is predominantly forestry, and the vast majority of the surrounding land is either owned by the state or the county. The nearest residence is approximately 5,800 feet away. Zoning department has no complaints on files for this pit. Current hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, May through November. Crushing to be conducted by secondary firms 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with the contractor needing to work additional days. State of Wisconsin is exempt from financial assurance requirements. As part of conditions is listed in my staff report, maintain compliance with NR 135, maintain compliance with plan of operation, including hours of operation and crushing from 6 a.m., 9 p.m., 7 days per week. Zoning committee may want to set a date and time duration for crushing operations. However, there are no other nearby residences in this location. So, I mean, if you want crushing to occur from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week, I don't know who would end up really hearing it. The nearest residence is over a mile away. And I don't think they do a lot of crushing there, but maintain compliance with the Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 30. All other town, county, state, federal laws are followed. CUP, if it goes with the property, if it's the change hands, new owner would need to submit a non-metallic mining transfer form. And the 5-year renewal will be backdated to August 14, 2024. As by action of the town board, motion was approved. Richard Burt, chair, Steve Binding, supervisor, Angela Olson, supervisor. Approved, no conditions other than already issued by the county. Signed, Chris Klein, town clerk. There were 2 notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners because, again, this is a 600-acre parcel. So there are a couple neighbors that border that 600-acre parcel. but zero additional comments were received. That is all.
Okay, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-008, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Savitsky. And a second by Mr. Magnuson to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-008. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing on CUP 25-008. Is anybody here from that?
Yep,
Online?
I'm Maggie Lorenz. I'm the agent for this gravel pit on Payne Farm Road. We do have enough crushed gravel in our pit probably to last us 5 years, so most likely there won't be any crushing in that pit within this renewal period. I don't know if there's any other questions for me.
You have any questions for? No, thank you, ma'am.
You bet.
All right. Anybody out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of this CUP? None being heard. I need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-008. Mr. Savitsky.
I'll make that motion.
And we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-008. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are now out of public hearing.
Discussion action, Town of Draper, CUP 25-008, owner, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Flammable River State Forest. Legal description is previously read into record. This request is for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-040, known as the Payne Pit. While making any type of motions for approval, please keep in mind the staff report conditions. I don't know if I need to reiterate them. They were already read into record. And we'd heard from the applicant that there is no anticipation of crushing, so I don't think that the zoning committee would necessarily need to amend any of their crushing duration or timeframes, but that is your decision to make.
Okay, Mr. Karianen.
Motion to approve CUP 25-008 with conditions for approval 1 through 6 and findings of fact 1 through 14.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Karianen and a second by Mr. Magnuson to approve CUP number 25-008. Any more discussion? If not, roll call, Kathy, please.
Ron Buckhold.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yes.
Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
Steve Karianen.
Yes.
All in favor. Thank you.
Public hearing in the Town of Winter, CUP 25-009, owner, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Flammable River State Forest, tax ID 32716, 200 total acres, zone forestry 1. Permit is desired for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-031, last renewed on June 21st of 2019. For location operation of non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. CUP was originally approved at a public hearing on May 20th, 2005. This is known as the Price Creek Pit. Again, part of my staff report, the renewal of CUP 19-031, location operation, non-metallic mining operation, including rock crusher. The reclamation plan is for approximately 5 acres of the total 200 acres. The current active open acres is approximately 4 acres. This pit is used for Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources projects, including kind of re-graveling of a lot of the Forest Service roads that are in these areas. The surrounding land use is predominantly forest, and the vast majority of the surrounding land is either owned by the state or county. Nearest residence is greater than 2,100 feet away. Sawyer County Zoning Department does not have any complaints on file for this property. Current hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, May through November. Crushing to be conducted by secondary firms, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with the contractor may need to work additional days. State of Wisconsin is exempt from financial assurance. Part of my staff report, they'd be to maintain compliance with NR 135, maintain compliance with the plan of operation, including hours of operation of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. crushing to occur 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Zoning committee may want to set a date and time duration for crushing operations. However, there's only one nearby residence in this location. To maintain compliance with Chapter 30, all other town, county, state, federal laws are followed. The CUP to go with the property. If the property is to change hands, the new owner would need to submit for a non-metallic mining transfer form, and that the 5-year renewal will be backdated to June 21st of 2024. By action of the town board, motion was approved. John Zaralski, town chair, Ron Fandry, supervisor, Tom Housel, supervisor. No additional comments. Signed, Jenny Pettit, town clerk. There was one additional notification letter sent out to that adjacent property owner and no response from that individual.
Must not bother him. So, okay, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-009, please.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-009. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing on 25-009. Applicant, you wanna talk to us again?
Sure, I'm here. We may in the next 5 years have a crushing operation. I don't know if you want specifics right now that we would, stay within that 6 to 9 crushing period. Just to be specific.
Well, and really what it's boiling down to is that you can crush from 6 to 9, but it's 7 days per week. And really you could technically crush on this one 365 days per year. So that's where I'd like to me personally, like a little bit more firm grasp on, okay, we're only going to crush from, this month to this month, or we're only going to crush for a max of, 3 weeks of total crushing throughout the calendar year. Something that puts a little bit more firmness on,
Sure.
Well, we can crush 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., 365 days per year. That's really what it states as I read it right now.
Okay. I thought I did see a May through November.
I see it right here.
Yeah,
If
okay,
we
well, at least we got
stuck
May
to-
through November, so.
We have that as the time period in which the crushing operation, May through 9, 6 to 9, 7 days a week.
Okay,
Is
Really?
still 9 p.m. average for the rest of these pits across the county? That seems late if I was their neighbor,
Yeah, I would say average that we see is usually like a 7 to 7, 7 to 8 is probably average. Be at this pit, the nearest residence, half a mile-ish away and only that one residence. And it's really up to you guys to set those duration timeframes if you think they need to be amended. You're gonna see other pits in other areas that are more concentrated with residential areas. And yeah, maybe that is a time where, you don't wake up till 8. So maybe crushing doesn't start till 8 and people start wanting to wind down by 7 p.m. And maybe there shouldn't be crushing on the weekends. And those are things for the committee to consider. While you really kind of take in the aspects of all the facts that you receive, as well as any, aspects of neighbor opinions and everything else that goes with it when you set those dates and times. So there's not a firm set standard anywhere out there though.
hey, does anyone out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of this CUP? If not, I need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-009.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-009. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing.
Discussion action, Town of Winter, CUP 25-009. Owner, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Flamingo River State Forest. Legal description is previously read into record. This request is for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-031. While making any motion, please keep in mind list of potential conditions is listed in my staff report. I'm not going to read them all, but including, but not limited to number 2, which would be to maintain compliance with the plan of operation, including current hours of operation of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and that crushing may occur 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days per week between the months of May through November.
Okay, and you guys can change that if you want.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve CUP number 25-009, considering the neighbor didn't respond back. I'm okay with the conditions set forth in J staff report 1 through 6 and findings of fact 1 through 14.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
And a second by Mr. Magnuson to approve CUP number 25-009. Any more discussion?
I do note 25009 or 25131. There's seems to be a difference of numbering here, unless I'm looking at this wrong.
So this CUP, we would list it as a new number, and the new number is kind of our internal tracking. So the new conditional use permit number as part of the renewal is now set as 25009. It's the renewal of the last CUP, which was 19-031.
Okay.
So it's really just our internal tracking mechanism.
All right, any more discussion? All right, need roll call. Okay, Kathy?
Steve Carriennen.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yes.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
All in favor, thank you.
Okay,
Public hearing, Town of Winter, CUP 25-010, Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Flammable River State Forest, tax ID 33128. It is 640 total acres. 40 acres of the 640 is being considered. More specifically, that area lying north of Cedar Rapids Road and south of West Lane. Permit is desired for the 5-year renewal of CUP 20-002, which was last renewed on February 21st of 2020 for the location operation of non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. The CUP was originally approved at a public hearing on October 21st of 2001. This is known as the Cedar Rapids Pit. As part of my staff report, again, the approved reclamation plan is for 5 acres of this total 640 acre parcel. The current active open acres is approximately 2 acres. This pit is used for Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources projects and the Town of Winter. The surrounding land use is predominantly forestry, and the vast majority of surrounding land is either owned by the state or county. The nearest residence is greater than 8,000 feet away. Sawyer County Zoning Department does not have any complaints on file for this site. The current hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, May through November. Crushing to be conducted by secondary firms 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with a contractor may needing to work additional days. The state of Wisconsin is exempt from financial assurance. Part of listed staff report conditions for potential approvals would be to maintain compliance with NR 135, maintain compliance with plan of operation, including current hours of operation of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, crushing to occur 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days per week, maintain compliance with Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 30. All other town, county, state, federal laws are followed. CUP go with the property. If the property is to change hands, the new applicant would need to submit for a non-metallic mining transfer form. And the 5-year renewal would be backdated to February 21st of 2025. By action of the town board, motion was approved. John Zaralski, chair, Ron Fandry, supervisor, Tom Housel, supervisor. No additional comments. Signed, Janine Pettit, town clerk. 2 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. No additional comments were received. That is all.
okay, thank you. All right, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-010.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Carrieinen to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-010. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing on CUP number 25-010.
Maggie, you want to say anything additional on this one?
I don't have any comments.
Oh, okay. All right. Anybody out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of this CUP? Hearing none, I need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-010.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Carrieinen to come out of CUP number 25-010. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now at a public hearing.
Discussion action, CUP 25010, owner Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Flammable River State Forest. Legal description is previously read into record. This request would be for the 5-year renewal of CUP 20-002 with taking into consideration the conditions as listed in my staff report as well as findings of facts.
Okay, committee.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP number 25-010 with the conditions set forth in G staff report 1 through 6 and findings of fact 1 through 14.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Karianen to come up, or to approve CUP number 25-010. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Kathy.
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
Ron Buckholz,
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky,
Yes.
Dale Magnuson,
Yes.
Steve Karianen.
Yes.
All in favor, thank you.
Moving right along, public hearing, Town of Lenroot, conditional use permit number 25020, owner Sawyer County Forest Crop, the agent being the Town of Lenroot. This is tax ID 17985. It's 646.20 total acres, zone forestry 1. Permit is desired for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-041, which was last renewed on October 21st of 2019 for the location operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. CUP was originally approved at a public hearing October 18th of 1996. This is known as the Sealy Fire Lane Pit. As part of my staff report, the property is approximately 646 total acres with a permitted total mine site within the reclamation plan of approximately 10 acres. The current active open acres is approximately 2 acres. The pit is used for gravel along the Sealy Fire Lane and Town Road projects. The surrounding land use is predominantly forestry, and the vast majority of the surrounding land is owned by the county. The nearest residence is greater than 5,600 feet away. There's been no change to this pit or operation since 2016. Expansion is anticipated to occur to the south side of the Sealy Fire Lane and an area to the east of the existing pit area. Sawyer County Zoning and Conservation Department does not have any complaints on files for the property. Current hours of operation, including hours for crushing, are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Sawyer County Forest Crop and the Town of Lenroot are exempt from financial assurance. As part of my staff report, and listed possible conditions would be to maintain compliance with NR 135, maintain compliance with the plan of operation, including hours of operation and crushing hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, maintain compliance with Department of Chapter 30 for the Department of Natural Resources. All other town, county, state, federal laws are followed. CUP goes with the property. If the property is to change hands, a new applicant must submit for a non-metallic mining transfer form, and the 5-year renewal will be backdated to October 21st of 2024. By action of the town board, motion was approved. Gordy Christian's chair, Michael Bandro supervisor, Jack Schustrom, I believe, is just absent. I don't know why he would, it says failed. I believe that's just video call.
He was absent.
Yeah, it says video call failed. I should have read the whole thing. I just see the word failed and think that he failed the motion. Jack Schustrom was absent. Brent Danielson supervisor, Jason Schustrom supervisor. Conditions for approval 1 through 5 is listed as part of the county staff report, and findings of facts 7, 11, and 14 as outlined in CUP 25-020 staff report. Signed Robert Uberholde, town clerk. 2 additional notification letters sent out. 0 were returned with any additional comments. That is all.
Okay. All right, need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-020.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-020. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Is the applicants on there?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
The applicant being the agent is the town of Lenroot. The owner is Sawyer County Forest Crop. This pit again is used by the town of Lenroot. And the town approved their own pit.
All right, so anyone out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of this CUP? Hearing none, need a motion to come out of public hearing in CUP number 25-020.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Magnuson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing.
This is the discussion action for the town of Lenroot, CUP 25-020. Again, owner Sawyer County Forest Crop Agent, town of Lenroot. Legal description is previously read into record. Request is for the renewal of CUP 19-041 for location operation, non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. Please keep in mind when making any type of approvals to reference the staff report as possible conditions and findings of facts which were already relayed and entered into the record.
Okay, committee.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP number 25-020 with conditions set forth in J staff report, including 1 through 6 and findings of facts 1 through 14.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to approve CUP number 25-020. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Kathy, please.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
Steve Carriennen. All in favor.
Jay, on this next one, I want to excuse myself from this per court counsel suggestion because I voted on the town side of this gravel pit.
Okay. If you are recusing yourself, you probably should leave the room.
I can do that because I gotta go with that.
Perfect. What a great timing that was for you. Huh?
All right.
This is a public hearing in the town of Meadowbrook, CUP 25-021, owner Donald and Christine Heides, part of the southwest one quarter, the southeast one quarter of tax ID 19281 is 32.74 total acres zoned agricultural one and forestry one. Permit is desired for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-036, last renewed on July 19th, 2019 for the location and operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. The CUP was originally approved at a public hearing on May 18th, 1990. This is known as the Heides Pit. Again, as part of my staff report, the property is approximately 40.71 total acres with the permitted total mine site within the reclamation plan of approximately 26.76 acres. The current active open acres is approximately 4 acres. This pit is used by the town and county for gravel crushing operations along with other people that may need gravel as per the applicant's statement. The surrounding land use is predominantly forestry and agricultural. The nearest residence not owned by the same landowner is approximately 2,000 feet away. There is minor expansion anticipated to occur towards the southwest of the existing pit area. Sawyer County Zoning Department does not have any complaints on file for this pit. The current hours of operation are 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, with crushing occurring between 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. periodically for brief periods. Financial assurance has been received in the amount of $9,000, which is set to auto renewal on 4/14 of 2025. As part of my staff report, a list of potential conditions: maintain compliance with NR 135, maintain compliance with plan of operation, including current hours of operation of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, with crushing to occur periodically between 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Zoning committee may want to limit the days allowed per crushing. That's just as a note. The committee can choose to decide what they want to do with that one. Maintain compliance with Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 30, that all other town, county, state, federal laws are followed, that the CUP go with the property, that if the property is to change hands, that the applicant or the new owner would complete a non-metallic mining transfer form, and that the 5-year renewal would be backdated to July 19th of 2024. By action to the town board, motion was approved. Ron Buckholz, chairman, Bill Haynes, supervisor, Ted Matazinski, supervisor. No additional comments on Ginny Pettit, town clerk. 5 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. No additional comments were received. We did receive a letter from the applicant. Did the committee have a chance to read that letter? It was a handwritten letter from Christine Heides. Hearing every committee member acknowledge that they read the applicant's letter that they submitted, therefore be it incorporated into the record. That is all. I would then need a motion to come to go into public hearing on CUP 25 dash number are we on 25-021.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Savitsky. It was second by Mr. Magnuson to go into public hearing. All in favor, say aye. We are now in public hearing. Is the applicant here? I believe that they weren't able to be here, and that is why they had kind of submitted that letter to the committee. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in favor of this applicant or this application? Hearing none, is there anyone to speak in opposition of this application? Hearing none, I would need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-021.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Savitsky, second by Mr. Magnuson to come out of public hearing 25-00021. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are now out of public hearing. This is discussion action of CUP 25-021. The town of Meadowbrook, owner Donald and Christine Heides. This is for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-036. The committee should note the conditions as listed in my staff report and findings of facts for any potential motions that would be made in support of approval of the CUP.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP 25-021. The hours set forth in Jay's staff report, Monday through Friday. Conditions 1 through 6 and findings of facts 1 through 14.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky to approve CUP 25-021, second by Mr. Magnuson. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Marks.
Marshall, what were those findings, did you say? I missed the last part.
1 through 14.
Oh, it is 1 through 14. Okay, thank you. Dale Magnuson.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
Ron Buck, oh, he's not. Steve Carriennen.
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor.
Yes. Yeah, moving on, this is the public hearing in the town of Round Lake, conditional use permit number 25-022. Owner Robert and Joan Vitsinda Trust. The tax ID is 26296. It is 42.9 total acres. Zone Forestry 1. Permit is desired for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-045. Which was last renewed on November 19th, 2019 for the location and operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. The CUP was originally approved at a public hearing on September 20th of 2002 and is known as the County Highway B pit. As per my staff report, again, 5-year renewal of CUP 1945, location operation, non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. Out of the 42.9 total acres, the permitted mine site as part of the reclamation plan would be approximately 7 acres. The current active open acres are approximately 3.25 acres. Mined materials support projects done by the applicant. Materials would be also available to be sold to the state, county, and town if requested. The surrounding land use is forestry and residential. The nearest residence is approximately 750 feet away. No crushing is allowed to occur within 1,000 feet of another residence as per the Sawyer County Code of Ordinances. Minor expansion is anticipated to occur to the north and with approximately 5,000 cubic yards of material extracted annually. The Sawyer County Zoning and Conservation Department currently does not have any complaints on file for this pit. The current approved hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, May through November, with crushing to occur 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 4 days per year. The operator is requesting a change to these hours in conjunction with similar hours used at the Jones Pit, which is the same operator, as approved and amended by the town of Round Lake in April of 2024. The proposed hours of operation would then be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, March through December, with crushing to occur 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, not to exceed 8 days per year, with crushing allowed during any month, weather permitting. Financial assurance has been received in the amount of $4,500, which is set to expire on 2/17 of 2026. The financial assurance renewal is required as part of compliance with the NR 135 provisions. As part of my list of potential conditions, again, maintain compliance with NR 135, which includes renewal of financial assurance. Maintain compliance with proposed plan of operation, which is again, current hours of operation would be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, March to December, with crushing to occur 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, not to exceed 8 days per calendar year. Crushing may occur during any month, weather permitting. Maintain compliance with the Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 30. All other town, county, state, federal laws are followed. CUP go with the property. If the property is to change hands, new applicant would need to submit for a non-metallic mining transfer form, and that the 5-year renewal be backdated to November 15th of 2024. By action of the town board, motion to approve, Ralph Hanson, Chairman, Dan Palmer, Supervisor, Kay Wilson, Supervisor, James Strandland, Supervisor, Marvin Scott Van Breck, Supervisor. Additional conditions and findings of facts. Town board approved with conditions to maintain compliance with Chapter 30, maintain compliance with proposed plan of operation, which I just read into record, and that the 5-year renewal be backdated to November 15th of 2024. Findings of facts that encourages use of land and other natural resources which are in accordance with their character and adaptability. There were 14 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 0 comments were returned. That is all.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-022.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to go into a public hearing on CUP number 25-022. All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Mr. Vitsinda, you wanna speak?
Hello, my name is Bart Vitsinda, and I am here to represent Robert and Joan Vitsinda Family Trust for the renewal of our conditional use permit for the County Highway B pit and to answer any questions anybody may have.
Okay. Committee have any questions for Mr. Vitsinda? Jay, do you have any?
No, I heard it at the town level.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, thanks, Bart. Anybody out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of this CUP? If not, need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-022.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-022. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing.
This is a discussion action, Town of Round Lake, CUP 25-022, owner Robert and Joan Vitsinda Trust. Legal description is previously read into record. Again, this is for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-045. And while making any type of motions for approval, please reference the staff report as a list of potential conditions and findings of facts.
All right, committee.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP number 25-022, conditions set forth in J staff report and findings of facts 1 through 14.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Kayanen to approve CUP number 25-022. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Kathy, please.
Dale Magnuson?
Yes.
Ron Buckholz?
Yes.
Steve Carriennen?
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky?
Yes.
Kay Wilson?
Yes.
All in favor?
This is a public hearing in the town of Weirgor, CUP 25-023, owner James and Nancy Schweitzer, tax ID 32278. It is 40 acres zoned agricultural 1. There's two separate parcels here. Okay, here we go. Parcel tax ID 32278, which is 23 total acres zoned agricultural 1, and tax ID 32282, 40 total acres zoned agricultural 1 for a total of 63 acres. Again, this request is for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-028, which was last renewed on June 21st, 2019 for the location operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. The CUP was originally approved at a public hearing on December 19th of 2003. This is known as the Schweitzer Pit. As part of my staff report, again, the total property is approximately 63 acres with the total permitted mine site included within the reclamation plan of 16.6 acres. The current active open acres is approximately 6 acres. Mining activities include sand, pit run, and crushing of gravel, primarily used by H&S Excavating. The surrounding land use is forestry, agricultural, and another existing non-metallic mining operation, as well as light residential. The nearest residence, as not as the pit owner, is approximately 1,100 feet away to the east and is located in the village of Exland. No crushing is to occur within 1,000 feet of another resident, as per the Sawyer County zoning ordinance. Minor expansion is anticipated to occur towards the south, with maintaining approximately 5 to 6 acres of open mine site while reclaiming other acres. Sawyer County Zoning and Conservation Department currently does not have any complaints on file for this site. Current hours of operation are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. April through November. Financial assurance has been received in the amount of $10,000, which is a bond, and it is set to it is set to expire on 2/8/29. A financial assurance renewal is part of the compliance with Chapter NR 135. Again, as listed as part of my staff report as potential conditions for approval, maintain compliance with NR 135, including financial assurance renewals. Maintain compliance with the plan of operation, including current hours of operation, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, April through November, with crushing to occur 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday, not to exceed 4 weeks per calendar year. Crushing may occur during any month. Amended crushing hours as per phone call with the agent dated 2/25/25, that the last CUP approval process did not specify days per week for the crushing or the duration. So we did list those and set those in there, and as I stated, the applicant, or at least the operator of the pit, did agree to those said conditions. Maintain compliance with the Department of Natural Resources, Chapter 30, that all other town, county, state, federal laws are followed. The CUP go with the property if the property is to change hands, that a non-metallic mining transfer form would need to be completed, and the 5-year renewal would be backdated to June 21st of 2024. By action of the town board, we did hear from the town clerk that we submitted this application to them. They did not, properly motion approval at their previous town board meeting. They forwarded the email to the chair and supervisor. Both looked it over and they had no issues with approval, but they will go through an official approval process in their April meeting. That being said, this zoning committee can approve a CUP without a town recommendation. And we did hear from the clerk that the chair as well as both supervisors had no issues and were more than likely going to make an approval with official signatures as well included as part of their April meeting. That's
So
all
in their
I've got to say.
motion, they can put on there depending on town approval, right? Or-
Yes, and that would certainly be something that, that you can add a condition onto your approval that it also require town approval or any other conditions that the town may put on. That way, this still moves forward, it gets out of zoning committee, and because the town inadvertently wasn't able to hear it, it's still, they get a kick at it, and we would just forward their aspects back onto it, so.
So I have one other question. On the agenda, it says James and Nancy, and on the staff report, it says Tom and Nancy. So who are we dealing? I know the Schweitzers, or Tom anyway. Huh? Okay.
Yeah, that's my bad, sorry. Tom. There were 9 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 0 additional comments were received. That is all.
Okay, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-023.
I will make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky, second by Mr. Magnuson, to go into public hearing on CUP number 25-023. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing. The representative here want to speak to the committee, please.
My name is Mike Hopkins. I'm the operator of the pit.
Okay, is there anything you want to tell the committee?
I'm just here for the renewal of the 5-year.
All right, sir. Committee got any questions for him? All right, thank you. All right, anyone out there want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of this CUP? Hearing none, need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-023.
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Savitsky and a second by Mr. Magnuson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 25-023. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing.
Discussion action, Town of Weirgor, CUP 25-023, owner Tom and Nancy Schweitzer. Legal description is previously read into record. This request is for the 5-year renewal of CUP 19-028. While making any motions, please take into consideration the potential conditions as listed in the staff report, including but not limited to potential item or condition number 7, that it would also require town approval as well as any other town conditions they may place.
Okay, committee?
I'll make a motion to approve CUP number 25-023 with all conditions set forth in Jay's staff report 1 through 6 and an additional number 7 for approval of town conditions, as well as findings of facts 1 through 14.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mr. Magnuson to approve CUP number 25-023 with the finding of fact and the other upon town approval and other conditions they put on. So, any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, Kathy?
Dale Magnuson,
Yes.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Steve Carriennen,
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
all in favor. Thank you.
All right, we got through the public hearing process. We are now on to new business. Sorry, just get into some of this stuff. So we've got a couple different items for new business. The first is kind of our draft ordinance language for camping cabins. Now, last month, I guess, at least distributed it to the committee that there was also a clerical error that was observed as part of the definition for park models. So items A and B somewhat go together, and they've also then kind of promulgated some additional options that we have for this ordinance amendment process. Again, the clerical error that was observed is that as part of our current zoning ordinance, the park model definition specifically states that park model trailers are only allowed in licensed campgrounds, which is the case, but that a maximum of 30% of the total permitted sites as to be park models. That 30% item was not ratified correctly by county board. It came out of an ad hoc committee to be at 30%. It went to the zoning public hearing omitting the 30%, was then ratified by county board omitting the 30%. Then we find, as our working ordinance in office where we make our amendments, someone had inadvertently stuck it in back in 2017. It would have been either the previous zoning administrator or previous deputy zoning administrator that would have added that language, and unfortunately, it was inadvertently added. When we then went through the Muni Code adoption, it was still continued in there. However, the way it was framed to county board as part of the zoning appendix items is that there was no changes to the ordinance. In conversations with legal, that 30% should not be in there. It was not ratified correctly, and I'm basically telling you as the committee that we are going to be removing that, and there's no additional action that's needed by you to solidify that removal. That being said, the options that we have now in front of us for these camping cabin ordinance amendments also includes some potential options to see if we want to re-add that percentage back in. I guess I'll leave it up to the committee for discussion. We have a couple different options, and I've kind of labeled them at the top of the of option A. So option A is the state definition for camping cabins, which removes the prohibition of water, sewer, and gas. It stays with a 1-story height max, so no defined height, but it can't contain a loft area, it has to be 1 story, and that there would be no percentage max for park models in licensed campgrounds. And for those that aren't familiar, the camping cabin and the park model provisions are only allowed in licensed campgrounds. I do feel like there's some discussion or I guess opinions out there where people think this is going to run rampant throughout the county. That's not the case. The provisions or the changes that we're making, or at least looking at making, are only still allowed in licensed campgrounds. So again, option A, state definition for camping cabins, removes prohibition, water, sewer, and gas, 1-story height max, and no percentage on park models. Option B is the county definition of camping cabins, which has a lesser square footage requirement. And state says that camping cabin can be 400 square feet. Current county ordinance says it can be 300 square feet. But we did end up removing the prohibition of water, sewer, and gas. Instead of a 1-story max, we go back to what the current county zoning ordinance is, which is a 12-foot max. And again, this would be with no percentage max on park models. Option C is then a state definition for camping cabins, which removes the prohibition of water, sewer, and gas, goes back to the 1-story max height, and that we would then re-add a 30% max for park models. Any other combinations can still be made. This zoning committee could say, hey, we don't think 30 is enough, but we don't want it to be 100%. Someone could make a motion that they want it 75%, 50%. So there's all these different combinations of these options that you have the ability to do. These are just 3 that I was able to kind of print out here for you, so you know kind of what we're talking about. I do know there's probably several audience members that want to speak on these. And I will stop talking and leave it at that.
Okay, I'm going to let the audience speak on them before the committee goes in so we can hear what they have to say. Linda?
Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner, and I've been attending all the ad hoc committee meetings for the committee that is tasked with finding and correcting inconsistencies in the zoning ordinance. And the issue of camping cabins came up yesterday, but it was towards the end of the meeting and it wasn't really an agenda item. But I think that committee would like to talk about this further, because in addition to correcting the inconsistencies in the zoning ordinance, they are talking about the appropriate levels or what they believe towns will approve with regarding to shoreland and non-shoreland development densities. And really, that committee is picking up where the county has failed the previous 2 years to correct the inconsistencies themselves. In previous public comment on the options that you are presented with here, there are a number of campgrounds that have been permitted with camping cabins that are shells. And to simply take what may be an outdated definition in state statutes and apply that to something that has all the utilities and has kitchen facilities and bathrooms would really be expanding the uses of conditional uses that have already been permitted. So even if you go to a website like KOA, they will advertise camping cabins and deluxe camping cabins. And I think what is being proposed and being requested by the folks who will speak after me is really a different kind of a camping cabin and deserves its own definition to differentiate between the existing shell definition without having those utilities attached and something that is more of a deluxe camping cabin with utilities. And I think probably rather than just try to send this out to the towns, if you would refer it to the ad hoc committee, you have representatives from all the towns on there and they could talk about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Robinson, want to speak? I didn't mean to wake you up, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Don Robinson. My family and I own Lake Chippewa Campground. We've had it for quite a long time. I consider myself and my thinking a product really of Southern Sawyer County because we've lived there so long. At that time, of course, we saw a community that seemed to be somewhat vibrant, really, although at least I would say it was holding its own. Today, Southern Sawyer County, in my opinion, is dying. I would like to, and I feel sorrow because of it, because there's a lot of great people that live in Southern Sawyer County. When I was there, one of the things that concerned me is I saw that people, their families or their children are educated in Winter High School, and they went off to tech school or they went off to university and they never came back because there was no economic opportunity in the winter area. What happens, of course, is a breakup with a family. I've said for years and years, I don't want to have to go to Chicago or Minneapolis to see my grandchildren. I don't want to see my children have to go to Chicago or Minneapolis to see their children and grandchildren. And so for all that length of time, I've been interested in trying to support the economic activity of Sawyer County. That's one of the reasons why when we had an opportunity to buy Lake Chippewa Campground, that we decided that we would operate it as a campground and a tourist destination, and it would contribute to Sawyer County economy. And rather than subdivide it and sell it off as some people would have done it and taken our money and run away from the county, we have stayed here and we have invested millions of dollars in this campground. Campgrounds are not like what they used to be. Campgrounds today are like modern resorts. They require a lot of investment to meet the demands of the traveling public. Camping has changed a great deal. And part of that change is what we're seeing is the fact that people living in apartment situations or other places where they don't store or can't store campers or whatever, they're looking for this opportunity to rent something very reasonably priced so they can either be with their friends or come in and have something that's already set up, that's modern. And we're particularly concerned about what I see as old people. I won't say old men because that's what I am, but the fact that you have to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, or you have to, if you're a young family and you have children, and you want to send those children to the bathroom, you have to get dressed up and take them because you're worried about the safety of the children. So all we're asking here that I can see is we're asking for the ability for these little cabins, and all they are just little shells, as was already mentioned, just to have a bathroom in them. I don't care about kitchens and all this other stuff. Nobody's concerned about that. But so they don't have to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. The only thing that I can see that would change here is that condition, and also the fact that this would bring it into compliance with what the state has recommended for this type of a cabin, the way they operate, and also the surrounding counties. So we're not at a disadvantage when we market our campground compared to some others. And I think that we're going to see more and more of this type of an operation. When you go to current campgrounds, you see everything, not only park models, but you see teepees, covered wagons, yurts, I mean, all of these types of things. And so all we're trying to do is just to get in line with what the way the camping industry is moving. And just a few words concerning the percentage, 30%. The only problem I have with 30% seasonal occupancy is the fact that not all campgrounds are the same. Some campgrounds may not have the volume that they need or the attractiveness that they can bring in people that can fill those campsites at all times. And so to me, the big attraction of seasonal campers and seasonal campsites is the fact that these people are there and they pay a certain amount of money throughout the year to rent that campsite. What it does for me as a campground owner is it allows a stream of income that comes through in the wintertime so I can hire quality people. And I need quality people. I have a multi-million-dollar operation. And I need people there that I can hire and I can pay the benefits and vacations and the healthcare insurance and all the other things that people are expecting nowadays. And so the other thing that I see in a seasonal campground situation is the fact that the people that are in a seasonal campground, they own that campground. They are a very, that's a word I want, a stabilizing presence in a campground. In other words, you don't have people coming in that campground and misbehaving because they're misbehaving in those people's campground. This is our neighborhood. If you misbehave here, we're going to go to management and have you tossed out. And that you cannot, you don't see that with campgrounds that don't have a stabilizing base like seasonals. Now, I don't know, 30%, somebody said that's what, I think these numbers are just pulled out of the air, and I don't think they take into consideration what the problems of the campground are. No, not campgrounds aren't all the same. And people don't all have the same amount of money to invest so that they can have people that are, attracted to or large enough to create that income stream. So that's really the reason we're wanting to change the camping cabin situation is because we want to see that option of people having an opportunity to rent or use the type of situation or the type of thing that fits their family or their needs. So that's why we're here.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Okay.
Anyone else would like to speak? Go ahead. State your name, please.
Kathy Robinson, also Lake Chippewa Campground. Just a couple adds to what Dad's already mentioned. We're trying to stay competitive in the marketplace, and that's this trend of glamping, which comes from glamorous camping. It's 5-star hotel amenities offered in tents, cabins, yurts. I think us asking for a bathroom is barely even approaching that. So I don't think, it doesn't change the size of the cabin. We're not making them bigger. We're not adding rooms. It's still a small, approximately 250 square feet cabin. So that's something I think that's important. We need to stay relevant in the marketplace, to stay in business and be competitive. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Okay. Committee, what do you want to do with this? One of my questions is these camping cabins or art models and all these, are they put on foundations or are they put on a slab or are they just sitting out on the ground? Anybody know that?
Oh, park models, of course, they're on wheels. They
Yeah.
have a particular definition.
To come up to the mic, Don.
That or we could bring the
Making
mic
sure I
to
get my exercise.
Yep.
No, camping, park models, of course, are on wheels. They have a specific definition, whatever. Camper cabins are different. They're usually built on skids. They can be slid around, move from place to place, but generally speaking, they sit on a particular spot. The real advantage to them is they're a lot cheaper. And so the rates can be a lot cheaper. So we can have families that don't have a lot of money or whatever and can only afford maybe a few dollars relatively for a camping spot that they can come in and rent a camper cabin. And also because there's no kitchen, we don't provide the bedding and whatever. They bring sleeping bags and stuff like that. We have a lot less cost, so we can rent them a lot cheaper. And all they are is just basically a little shelf for people to, they're warm, they're dry. If you get a nasty week or a nasty weekend and the people still are coming, they find other places to go. Campers aren't, I think like when they were in tents, they pack up and leave. That's our experience. But nowadays with a camper cabin, they find other things to do. They go to town, spend money here, they go to restaurants, they go whatever else. So I think they're a big advantage for the camping public and for their convenience. Why would anybody want somebody to have to get up in the middle of the night and take their child to the bathroom, or even some old man like me to have to get dressed up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? I mean, that's the only real difference.
Yeah, you would want to see bathrooms in.
Oh, I want water and electric hookup. Yes. So they can have a bathroom, That's our kitchen. We don't want a kitchen. I don't want to have to clean up after somebody that's got dishes and clean a stove and all these kinds of things. They go out to eat someplace else. So.
And I'll just have you stay up there. I mean, the current zoning ordinance wouldn't necessarily prohibit a kitchen right now. What it would prohibit, though, would be water sewer. So you basically have a kitchen that doesn't have a sink. That's current ordinance. And I guess as Mr. Robinson being, I would still think the largest campground owner in Sawyer County, so that state definition has it as a 400 square foot area for camping cabins, and basically does not prohibit water, sewer, and electric, which means you would be allowed the water, sewer, and electric. Current county ordinance has it as 300 square feet and the prohibition. So I know your general request or your initial ask when this started several months ago was just to remove the water, sewer, gas prohibition. What are your thoughts on the 300 square feet that current ordinance is versus the 400 square feet which state definition has?
Well, I think because we're trying to keep the costs down, I think our cabins are about 250 square feet. This is an economic thing. This is a way of providing cheaper camping for people maybe that don't have the money to go out and spend on a camper and don't have the place to store it and all the other things that go with it. So I don't see any reason why we would ever want to go beyond 250 square feet.
Yeah, well, and it's right now it's 300, so I wouldn't end up bumping it down to 250 because then you might create some nonconformities in campgrounds. What about heights? What are you seeing on heights of these camping cabins? I mean, should it just stay one story so you can't have a loft area? Should it be 12 feet? Should it be 14 feet? I guess, again, being the largest campground owner, I'm looking for kind of your experience and expertise on this matter.
Yeah, well, we have 3 at present, and when we measure from the ground up to the peak, because they're chalet in a way, I believe the height is 12 feet. Might be a little bit more. We don't have lofts and that type of thing in them and all that other type of stuff. So
even if it went to like 14, or if it, again, 14 feet, not to exceed, 1 story with no loft area, that would be acceptable still? Okay.
Oh, sure. I don't see, I don't see where that's even, we don't get.
I would just hate that all of a sudden, if we put 12 feet and all of a sudden we go to measure and now it's 12 foot, 4 inches. Well, sorry, you gotta retry, cut off something here, but that's why, 12 to me is just not that tall.
Yeah.
I would max it out at 14, nothing over 14 feet.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why anybody would want to go with that. We're trying to keep the price down is what we're trying to do. Trying to compete with other places.
And you're against the 30%, huh? Mr. Robinson?
Not necessarily. In some places it may be fine, but every campground's different. Some campgrounds, if you take 30% and they're not in an area where they're attractive to a lot of people that are transient, if they can get 30% of people, it means their existence. I mean, you're talking their existence here now. You're not just talking convenience. And I think that the county board and whatever, I think they've picked this number out of the air, thinking that maybe that's what it should be. But I think if they really looked at it and talked to some people and considered what their problems are, I think they would perhaps raise it. And maybe they want to have it different for either one. I don't know. We have kept our campground. We have seasonal campers, but we have tried to keep it basically for transient campers. Because that's what we want to do, is contribute to the Sawyer County economy. We feel that's important. We're an important part of it. And our campground generates millions of dollars in Sawyer County. How many, when we add all the campgrounds together, how many millions of dollars do they generate here in Sawyer County?
Okay, can I ask Don a question? Don, so, wouldn't you want to, if you had your say in it, wouldn't you want to follow state regulations, state requirements of 400 square feet, so not limit the business persons of that? If you go, the state requirements is 400 square feet, which Jay has here in option A on this the different proposals here. And so what, as an owner, you wouldn't want to restrict the other campgrounds to not go under the state requirements.
I would want to try to be consistent with the state regulations.
Consistent with the
Why have
state.
all these other
Right.
little different?
And the
different-
other 30%, that's not even in our ordinance, right? That's
As of right.
That's right now. So why would we want to restrict that?
No, I'm not
We
in
should
favor
not
of
put-
restricting it. No,
We should not, you would.
I limit
you would
myself
wanna
to
give the
that,
camp-
but
You'd want to give the campground owner ability to make decisions.
yes,
Whether he wants to go 70% or 80% or
Yes.
depending on the market of the campground.
right.
Or if he has lots coming in on the weekends, so
yeah,
you want to give the.
His
as a-
survivability depends on this to some extent. We're not
Right,
just-
so as a county government, we should not you wouldn't want us to restrict your ability to run your campground the way you see fit there, so
You're right, that's what the business.
So right now, we don't have a 30% in there. You would be in favor of not putting it in there, right?
Right.
Just leaving that out of the language,
Right.
right? And you would be in favor of going with option A here, the 400 square feet, which is a state requirement. You would be in favor of that, right?
Yes,
To leave that in
consistent.
there as option
be
A.
consistent, yes.
Be
And
consistent
that's
with
what
the
I'm asking for,
Okay.
is the state allows a bathroom and
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yep.
and the other counties surrounding allow it. So
Yep.
all I'm asking for is consistency, so we can
Yep.
be like the
Yep.
others.
Yep, we have this option A in front of us here, and it says, at 400, to have it at 400 square feet, and to leave out the restrictions on height and connection of gas and water and sewer. That way, the campground owner can hook up water and sewer and gas to the campground cabins as the owner sees fit.
Yes.
Right.
And it should be mentioned that through all these options, and whether it's a camping cabin, whether it's a park model, whether it's a tent, whether it's a recreational vehicle, they're all as part of your original permitted number of sites. Where if you were permitted 60 sites, that's 60 units, period. Whether you want 60 camping cabins, whether you potentially want 60 park models, whether you want 30 recreational vehicles, 10 of this, 10 of that, it's a site is a site. So I do want to make that distinction clear. Even if we put a percentage or we change the square footage, you're still, as a site is a site. But it does give the flexibility to that campground owner to choose how they want to designate those said sites. And then we have Kay Wilson's hand up. I don't know, Kay, did you have a specific question for Mr. Robinson as well?
No, once we get to a committee discussion, I'd like to talk.
Sure. When the committee is discussing. I just didn't want Don to keep standing up there if you
Oh,
have any more
all right.
questions for him.
All right. So committee, what do you want to do with this?
Kay, you got your hand up there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was curious, so we want to remove prohibition of water, sewer, and gas. If he's not interested in kitchens in these little cabins, why do we have gas?
Potential heat source.
Okay. Then, as far as, under 6610, number 2, park models, the construction of a foundation underneath shall be prohibited. I think, camping cabins should also have that prohibition. And a foundation is like a block wall. It's not the slab that we're talking about. It's
Right,
like sitting on a foundation. As far as the 30%, this goes back to a discussion that we had many years ago with the Treelands about park models in a campground and what is appropriate. The Visitors Bureau chimed in on that, and they were concerned without a restriction that pretty soon there would be no transient sites available if they all got filled up with park models and now camping cabins. So I do think that a percent is appropriate, whether it be 30 or 50. Thank you.
Okay. I kind of agree with Kay on the percentage. We should have some percentage, whether it don't have to be 30%, it could like 50 or 60, whatever. But I think we should have some kind of percentage on it. Committee, so you got any inputs on this?
I think we should let the market decide that.
Decide what?
How many cabins, park models, he's restricted by the amount of camping spots. That's what we're restricting, is the zoning restricts the amount of camping spots that he has permitted for. Correct?
Sites, yep.
So we have a restriction on there already on the amount of camping spots where they have to have public restrooms and toilet facilities based on that number of camping spots. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so we already have a restriction there on that. So we don't need to put more restrictions on these campground owners.
And in discussion with legal counsel, and I don't know if she's still on or she ended up falling off here, but
Nope, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, so we did have that, discussion where, now I haven't had the chance to go back into some of our, I guess, recently approved campground conditional use permits on whether or not any specific conditions for a percentage amount of park models was put or placed as a specific condition. But ultimately, if we were to now say that it is going to be 30% of the total permitted number of sites as park models, or 50%, or 80%, that those that had been approved since 2017 may not fall under that standard because it was not ratified correctly. So it would only be moving forward for new CUP applicants. So even if we were to put a percentage, it doesn't backdate unless it was a specific condition that was added. I have not gone through that process yet. Correct, Rebecca?
That's right, Jay.
All right. I guess I would like to see maybe the ad hoc committee take a kick at this. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I was going to comment on that. I don't think that this committee has jurisdiction to do so, because the ad hoc is was created, upon recommendation of the board of the committee. But I don't think that this committee has the jurisdiction to expand the scope of the ad hoc. I understand that, it's been stated that the multi-dwelling development ad hoc is looking at inconsistencies or errors in the zoning code. But I haven't attended the meeting since the first, but that's not my understanding of what their jurisdiction is. And so I have concerns about sending this particular issue to the ad hoc committee.
Okay. Well, then let's do something with it. Either do the changes or send it to the towns or what? Well, let's do it.
Need a motion?
Yeah, I get, yes. I'm not so sure if it's ready to go to the towns yet, but, we have to pick an option, right, Jay?
Yeah, and you can, I guess, make your own amendments to it, which then I would make those corrections before I send it to the town. Where again, I mean, there's like 4 different elements, so you can plug and play which elements you want or don't want, so.
You could also you could officially expand the scope of the ad hoc too, if this is something that you wanted the ad hoc to look at, just from a legal standpoint, you just have to make sure that process is properly followed.
Well, what my concern is with this, Rebecca, is if we kick this to the towns, they're gonna take a look at it and it's gonna come right back to us. They're gonna deny it. We know how that's been going. That's where the ad hoc committee got formed because the towns weren't approving what the zoning was given.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But what I'm saying is from a legal jurisdiction standpoint, the ad hoc is was not created to oversee all of those issues. It was created with the purpose of looking at the multi-dwelling development and reconciling the errors with respect to that provision of the code. Now, if this is something that the committee would like the ad hoc committee to look at, that is certainly an option. We just have to follow the right process. And I think that would have to go back to the board. Or we would have to look at what that proper process is.
Okay, I'm okay with that, but like I say, I know I got a bad feeling no matter whatever we send them here is gonna get kicked back to the zoning committee, but I guess we have to try. We all know
Legitimate
how that
concern,
works.
and I think that if the intent is that everything has to clear the ad hoc committee before it goes to the towns, that's an even bigger concern. Because that is not what is legally required or should occur at this point in.
Right.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Ron, would I be able to make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve option A as presented to us. And leave the percentage out of there as it's not in the ordinances now. Why even? So I just want to do option A as it's presented.
And I will second that.
Okay, you wanna, the red line definition of option A is what you're approving, Mr. Danielson?
Yes, we got option A right in front of us here.
Yeah, right, that's
And
what I'm saying.
exactly the way it's printed.
Okay. And you wanna leave it at 1-story height max, right?
Yeah, I mean, at least give some flexibility. If someone wants to have, a big daylight window on a chalet and it's gonna be 18 feet tall now, it's still 1 story. You're not gonna be able to have a loft area in it though.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve option A and send it to the towns. Any more discussion? Not? Kathy, we're gonna do a roll call on this.
Kay Wilson,
No.
Marshall Savitsky,
Yes.
Dale Magnuson,
Yes.
Steve Carriennen,
Yes.
3-1.
Don't I get to vote?
Ron Buckholz, I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, Kathy.
Sorry.
No.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so item B, again, we kind of, stated that, that error was observed. It is not, it had not been ratified by county board, was not included as part of the public hearing process. So as of right now, that 30% threshold is not as part of the ordinance. And again, as part of the option A approved to send to the towns, it would still not be part of the ordinance. So I don't think we have to further address item B. Item C is the bakery use. So I had a call from an individual that is currently operating I guess I'd call it more of a roadside stand bakery. We do not have a use of a bakery listed within our zoning ordinance. There's no mention of the word bakery. This once roadside stand, which one could even construe that even a roadside stand potentially would not be allowed, are now wanting to morph this into a more mixing type of commercial operation in which they would convert an existing garage area that people could come to their place of residence and buy baked goods. This is anticipated to occur in an agricultural zone district. And within the A1 zone district, there are items that would allow for, again, roadside stands of products that are grown on site, where if someone had an apple orchard, they could, put out a roadside stand. You could go pick up a bag of apples and drop a $10 bill in a bucket. It's a permitted use. Same with like a pumpkin patch, or, those people that you see that's, sell, corn for sale. Those roadside stands are permitted uses in the agricultural zone district. The bakery is a little bit different in that, those baked goods aren't, grown on site unless, you really stretch the line and say, well, you're growing wheat and then grinding it to make flour to make baked goods, which that doesn't really make the sniff test for me. But it's really whether or not, we can get to some realm where this could be as a permitted use, this could be a conditional use, or do we need to go through the official ordinance amendment process to potentially allow as a bakery, as kind of this mixing commercial aspect, into certain zone districts as a CUP or even a permitted use. And again, it involves, well, how much does this committee want to, I guess, manage someone's almost, home business is really kind of what it boils down to. For other examples that we've used in the past, of where we kind of currently draw the line. So if someone has a tree trimming business and they have a truck with a boom to cut down trees, we've never required that they need a conditional use permit as long as people aren't coming to their property to conduct business, nor are they taking product, AKA stumps and logs from another person's property and bringing them back to their residence. Just because you have a chainsaw and a truck and you go to other people's properties, you've never needed a conditional use permit to do so. Same with the guy that's got a lawnmower and a trailer and he goes around and cuts a couple people's grasses. I don't need a conditional use permit for that person unless people are coming to his place, sitting down in an office and saying, hey, this is what I want cut. These are my plans for how you cut my grass. That's where the line is currently drawn. This one for bakery is a little bit unique, and I need some help and discussion from this committee as to how we either set some policy or should we have an ordinance amendment process that you want to see this kind of bakery or home business as a conditional use permit in certain zone districts. And then from there, it's, well, what zone districts do you want to allow them in? Should they only be in ag zone districts? Should they be in ag and forestry? Should they be in all zone districts? Because currently I know of at least 2, if not 3, that are flirting and probably over the line. And it's whether or not we go through the actions of, you can't no longer sell baked goods at your property because that's not what the ordinances state.
Magnuson, go ahead.
Isn't the Department of Health kind of, that's their department, you know, they're baking goods, they're selling food product. That's really not a zoning issue. It's a health issue. If the health department wants to get in there, the inspector and that, but they're, you know, it's allowed in churches to bake your goods and sell it. Every church does it. Every little family fundraiser thing, they do it. They sell baked goods. I don't really think it needs to be a zoning issue.
It's kind of it's a little bit of a mix, and it's a little bit of a mixing use where, you know, if you wanted to bake a bunch of pies and then you go to some other place to sell them at a farmer's market, or if you're bringing them to a church function, or even to the extent, I believe it's Sydney Gidley who bakes a bunch of cupcakes and then takes those cupcakes to other venues. I don't care about that. It's that she's baking those goods and now people are coming to her property as a mixing type of commercial to conduct the business. And that's where I guess I've always drawn that line. If you don't think that is a line drawn and people can come to your residence to buy your baked goods, I just don't know where that line is then drawn. Because now it's, okay, I own a landscaping business and people are coming to my property to pick up cultured rock and flagstone. Should that be a conditional use permit? Because that seems like it meets the merit and sniff test of that. We should probably get some conditions on a landscaping business. So there's a fine line that ends up getting drawn, and I just need help finding where that line is.
Linda, you wanted to comment on this quickly. Go ahead, Marshall, then she can go.
We had that gal who wanted to start a massage place, I think in Radisson or whatever. People wanted her place to, you know, do business, I guess. And she applied for CUP, correct?
As a professional office studio.
I can't see somebody trying to sell pies or whatever getting denied by us in the future, but that's what will cover them and us. I would say that'd be the route to go.
So you would see that being as a conditional use permit?
Mhm.
Would you want a bakery or this kind of home business to be or not permitted, but a home business is a CUP in all zone districts? Residential included?
Yes.
Yeah, because right now, the only one that'd be permitted in would be commercial. So you would never hear a request for a bakery that's in a commercial zone district as permitted use. But in all other zone districts, you'd want that kind of home business, whatever that home business may be, to be as a conditional use. Okay? All right.
Go ahead, Linda.
Linda Zilmer, Edgewater property owner, and we have a number of these businesses all over the county, and they're all in different zone districts. And there is a difference in DAT cap between the requirements for a home bakery versus a bakery. So I think one you'd have to differentiate is, does this fall under home bakery or commercial or wholesale bakery? And in the R1, the residential zone district, under a conditional use permit, they provide for a home occupation where less than 25% of the dwelling area and no more than one non-resident employee, and it does not create nuisances for the neighbor. That's a conditional use permit that can be applied for in R1. There's nothing similar in RR1 or RR2, so I don't know if at some point that could be a conditional use added. But again, defining what a home bakery is versus a commercial or wholesale. And under the A1 or A2, I guess the only restrictions I could see is at one time the county went and played around with the permitted and conditional uses of A1, A2, trying to comply with farmland preservation. And I do not know whether adding baked goods to the farm stand would be in violation of farmland preservation or not. But I mean, it's very common, a lot of the farm stands that you will see baked goods out there. But right now, we've got an Edgewater Town Board member who's got a big billboard on Highway 48, and he's got a shed in his front yard, and it's not agricultural, and we all just keep looking the other way. But I do think there's a difference, and probably in some cases, you'd want to have a conditional use permit. Thank you.
I agree with Marshall. I do. Should have some kind of a commercial CUP there. But it's for discussion only, so.
Yeah,
And the only reason I say that is just to kind of cover them, they're probably not making $1 million selling pies at their house, but I feel like it just covers them and allows them to do something that they want to do.
Right.
And I'm not trying to regulate anyone by any means, but like I said, I can't see any of us ever denying someone trying to make some pies.
I don't want to see him.
That's probably how Miller's Market started,
Yeah.
Rebecca has her hand raised.
Go ahead, Rebecca. Hello?
She has her hand raised, but she's also muted, so not sure. Yeah, if it is, and again, this is discussion. We've heard from three individuals. One, that we somehow just make this a permitted use. Two, that thinks it should run as a conditional use permit. Kay Wilson, what are your thoughts?
Well, there are a number of them already in the county. I know somebody's selling sourdough out of their mailbox on Facebook. And I think that people should be permitted to continue selling their home baked goods as a conditional use permit in any district. And so we need to make an amendment to our ordinance.
So you would want to see them as a conditional use permit?
I would.
Okay.
I would.
Steve
And
Carrion.
maybe part of that condition would be an inspection of their kitchen by Health and Human Services. I don't know how far we want to go on that.
Dale, Marshall, if you guys got something today, say it to the whole committee, not between the two of you. We all like to hear it. We're all a committee, not just you two. So.
Steve Carrion, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are.
I'm a bit torn on this one. I can kind of see both sides of this, whether we need to, step into this right now, or I'm just trying to think of situations where it's really become an issue. And off the top of my head, I haven't seen that.
Right. And so I've seen the signs and it says, baked goods for sale. And I guess I really haven't further looked into it until a couple months ago. I received an application for a land use permit for a shed, which is now going to be located on the property, which is not just a roadside stand anymore. It's inviting people to come into the property and conduct business. And that's where an automatic flag went up to me. Because if I don't necessarily want to turn a blind eye to it if it is something that needs a CUP, but could there be something where we don't enforce until we have an ordinance in place? Otherwise, now I'm going out and say, you better not be selling your pies until you get a conditional use permit. And guess what? It's going to take you 5 months to get an ordinance amendment process in place. So you're out of pie selling for the time it takes us to get an ordinance in place. Those are the things that I struggle with on some of these though too.
Yeah, it's certainly something to think about, going forward, I suppose, but again, without actually seeing it where it's become a problem, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to deal with right now.
Jay, and on what you're seeing there, where their business is growing, and you see that, could you maybe not kind of just help them get the proper business, help them get basically it's a health issue, with the health department, with sanitation, with baking cakes, So, and the county has an inspector, correct? So as a zoning administrator, I would say, hey, let's get the county health guy here, just make sure you're following the laws of the health issue. If it comes to growing into a bigger business that you see happening, that would protect the public more than just making it a zoning issue. Of course, if it grows out of there, like she was saying there, 25% of the house area, Linda was saying, if it becomes a bigger, then, it's a bigger operation and it only restricted to one employee, it's the business owner is gonna eventually, if it gets, then he's gonna have to follow all the regulations, eventually. But I don't wanna have a bunch, just some lady that's gonna sell some goods out of her house. I don't want her to go through the whole process of coming up here and going through a CUP and all that paperwork and time and she just wants to sell a few baked goods to her neighbors.
Yeah, it's
That's
hard to.
basically what you're,
Right. And again, it's hard to find where that line is because, now that person that, started off just making a couple pies, now they, got a full commercial kitchen and they're advertising that they're open from, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week, and they're having donuts. And now there's, 12 different vehicles in the driveway, and if that property's next to you, you're like, well, how the heck did this happen? And it can snowball really quick is what I'm kind of cautioning.
Say, does that person then have a license then
They are obtaining it, yeah.
They're
part of
obtaining
their
it.
kind of
So then a party like that,
elevated
that's
status.
obtaining a license like that has a commercial kitchen installed in their house, that they have a commercial kitchen that's gonna meet sanitary codes of a state, then they need to, maybe, rezone their area there to commercial. That's a different story then.
Right, it's where that line is, and you're almost saying that the line develops with HHS, but a lot of times people don't necessarily even go through HHS unless this committee conditions them to go through HHS.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
sorry, I've been listening to the meeting and I just want to jump in on this because just to maybe clarify, I know you're talking about a zoning issue with customers accessing the parcel, but just to kind of be clear, and it's not a real clear area in the state as far as home-based businesses for baked goods and canning and things like that. There was I think it was 2017 where there was that was prohibited before. You couldn't, without having a commercial kitchen, you could not create food products and sell them. I think it was 2017, there was a court case that basically allowed it now. So you don't have to have a commercial kitchen as long as you're selling directly to consumers. So that's why you started seeing more baked goods, canned goods, candies, things like that at farmers market. And now the evolution of that is people are setting up like cupboards at their end of their driveway and still doing direct to consumer, but you don't have to have a commercial kitchen. As far as I know, and actually Linda might keep up on this more than I have in recent years, that there's been bills proposed at the state that haven't gone anywhere, but generally as long as you stay under $20,000 in sales, you can continue to create home baked goods and jams and that type of thing before you have to get a commercial license or have a commercial facility to sell them to the public. So I think there's two separate issues there. Right now, public health does not have to go into somebody that's a small operator and license their kitchen or do any health inspections. They still have to have a seller's permit to collect taxes, but there is no health inspection required.
And if you're making this stuff at your house, and like you said, you're going to farmers market, you're going to churches, I have no issues with that. I'm never going to end up regulating something like that. It's now where you're inviting the public to your house to conduct the business outside just a roadside stand. I mean, people that have a roadside stand that sell eggs or sell maple syrup, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But now that they're going down the driveway and they're opening up a garage where people can walk around, basically a storefront, that seems to be a line to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the line is because not that I frequent these, but there are some that are they're like the eggs. It's a cupboard at the end of the driveway. You take a loaf and put your money in and continue on your way. But where that line is, good luck with that.
Right.
I agree with Mr. Magnuson. I mean, we don't want to abolish these people from doing that. I mean, it's a kind of a livelihood for them, but yeah, like where do we draw the line? I mean, I don't want to put them on a commission. I use them, I've been to them, so, you know, but.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Okay, here I am. Just to offer a suggestion, we are trying to identify that where is the line. Look to what your jurisdiction is. It is to regulate land use and the impact on other users in surrounding areas. So what I'm hearing is, concerns about traffic, or concerns about, potentially having more employees on site, having a storefront, potentially more noise. With more foot traffic comes more trash. All of those land use impacts, I think, can be a helpful guide in determining where that line is and at what threshold does this committee want to see regulation of those potential impacts. And certainly the health department and the health regulations play an important role when we're talking about food products. But keep in mind that the health regulations in the health department is not necessarily, they're not regulating traffic. They're not regulating, many of the items that fall within your jurisdiction and your scope. And so again, I just wanted to share that as perhaps a point to help you determine where that line is. What impacts do you see that at what point do you want to trigger that regulation? Is it traffic coming to a residential property and there being a storefront, so it looks like a store? Maybe that's your line. Thank you, sir.
okay,
My comment about needing a CUP was for Jay's description of someone having a garage that they're now inviting people in. And that, I think, should trigger needing a CUP. The person that has the roadside stand, no. Just clarifying my position. Thank you.
okay, Mr. Aaron?
My question around that, traffic on your driveway, et cetera, gets me thinking about all of these weekend garage sales that, go on weekend after weekend all summer long, throughout many communities, including maybe Hayward at times. Are we looking at CUPs for activities such as that?
Potentially. Now, the two that I'm aware of, now I don't know which ones you're looking at or identifying, but the two that I've actually gotten complaints on before are actually in a commercial zone district. And at that point, it'd be a permitted use. Now, if you're thinking of other ones that have these weekly garage sales, you could come to the extent that, that is now a storefront. You're now a thrift shop at that point, and you need to get conditional use permit approval or rezone to a different zone district. Those are those fine lines which make my job very difficult to do sometimes.
Yeah, I know some of them, they're double parked on both sides of the road and you have a hard time squeezing through on them.
Right. So, I will get some additional information and documentation, and I'll have this on for May as additional discussion, potential action. Maybe I can get to the point of some simple ordinance amendments. I hate to throw, potentially 3-4 different ordinance amendments in a loop process at one time, but I do think this one does have some merit, and especially for this individual that's wanting to do the right things, wanting to know what steps she needs to do in order to be a bakery with a storefront, but with no clear avenue in the ordinance to do so. We can leave it at that.
Okay, all right. Any more discussion on that? All right. Number D, any new business that may become before this committee? If not, I want to thank everybody and Mr. Robinson. You have to sit for a long time, and thank you for all your input, Linda. We're adjourned.